Definitely.
Is it Aletha?
Elliot.
E-L-L-I-A-T.
First name.
Yes, that is my first name. Jackson is my last name.
Nice, alright.
Like two
You
first or
introduced
last
yourself a
names.
lot, but I never got a grip on the actual first name, so thank you. Interesting. Amendments to the agenda, gentlemen?
None from me.
I had a question to throw out about that. I wanted to run it by you and see what you thought.
Tom, I'm a potted plant today.
Pardon me?
I'm the potted plant today.
The lady in the back needs to introduce
I know
herself.
how you feel.
Oh, I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
Tracy Fowler.
Oh,
The Valley
really? Well,
Bee.
Tracy, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
I
too,
just
Tom.
assumed you were finished. I was kind of focused in on trying to get this.
He screwed up, let's face
No
it.
worries. No worries.
I'm not in charge of introducing.
He's already on his way to
They're in
Hawaii.
charge of introducing themselves.
He's on his way to Hawaii.
Yeah. What do I care about?
And he's the birthday boy.
So, one of our items on the agenda, the second one under new business, consideration of the scholarship matching fund. I spoke with their counselor. He is going to leave his class. He teaches a class. And he asked me about what time, and you know how that goes, so I shot him time. I'm wondering if he shows up because he's leaving a class, can we deal with that whenever he gets here?
Sure.
Assuming we're not in the
Is that
middle
Troy?
of
Is
an
that-
item, yeah. If we're in the middle of some deal,
Yeah.
we'll have to wait, but, so I don't even know how to go about that really, because I don't know where to put it on the
I guess there
agenda,
is
but
one thing I have then.
Okay, so- if you guys are all right with that, we'll just play that by ear, if that's okay, and
Of course.
it's not, I don't think it's gonna take long, but, so that was the only thing I had. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I have the, sort of similar, remember yesterday I mentioned that CenturyLink would be coming in. They are. Tony Hasenek, the engineer that's in charge of the project, is gonna come and talk about what they did stop work out there, and he wants to just let us know what he kind of, what they're planning.
And when is he coming in?
I told him 11,
Okay.
but he's coming in from Walsenburg, I think, so it's from 10:30 to 11, so he may walk in during some deal.
Okay, yeah, we don't have that on the agenda at all, so
No,
how
except
are
I
we
mentioned
gonna?
it yesterday, so how did you, that's why
It's not
I,
gonna be a
I
vote.
don't think there's an action.
Just a
item,
status.
So,
No, it's a
We
status
could,
report, we can get that anytime.
and we mentioned that before, I mean, people need.
we could, hold off on commissioner report, we could do it during that, or maybe we just take a break and do it. I
I
don't
think we just do it.
know. That's all I had, so approve the minutes, I think we're good there. Commissioner items, Commissioner Canada, would you like to begin?
Yeah, real quick, CenturyLink's coming in, mentioned that, and then, I did have a talk with, the broadband, issue, and, met with Jim Bispado again, and they pressed down the road of, he said, anyway, they push it, you were at the meeting, weren't you, Jim? So I'm assuming they delayed the vote, and then we'll catch it as soon as we can, a meeting they're gonna get with the guys, I don't know what, wasn't at the meeting.
I was. Can I kind of?
Go ahead, catch him up.
They have, John,
Genevieve.
thank you, John Genovese, extremely knowledgeable about this. And he's been kind of, I don't want to call him a consultant, but he's been helping them, talk about broadband, especially this particular project. He brought up multiple questions yesterday that this project, is lacking in information.
Like you need to
Don't know what we're buying,
yeah.
don't know what it is we're signing off on, don't know what this agreement is. They're gonna have a meeting, next, and I really don't want, they want to keep it kind of small, but they're having a meeting on, Thursday, the 10th at 3 o'clock,
Meet with the consultant or what?
to meet with, they're gonna bring in the broadband people who want the contract.
Mhm.
they're gonna, have Mr. Genovese there, and they're gonna ask some really
Good.
serious questions,
Good.
like, how's the line coming from Walsenburg over here, who's paying for that? Westcliff made it very, very clear they have no interest in being a utility,
Right.
none whatsoever. I certainly will not speak for Westcliff, but they're taking a very, very hard look at this entire project, thinking, is this something that Westcliff wants to endorse or not? And I can't really go any further than that, cause it's a decision their trustees will make, but
Once they get the data.
they're not just rubber stamping anything.
Good.
They asked what the county felt, and I said that we feel that we have not made any decision at this point. That we were waiting to see what the two towns did, and then we would make our decision. But we have not confirmed nor denied involvement in the project, we just kind of left it blank. So, I hope you don't mind me dovetailing on that.
No,
Just wanna
and
give you
in
an update
fact,
on
that's
where
the,
Westcliff is.
exactly what, the process, I was just gonna make it simple, you know, they had delayed it, they're gonna meet with the consultant, get more data so they understand it well enough to make a decision on what they wanna do or how they wanna play. They don't wanna be an utility, nobody's asking them to be, that's Silver Cliff's idea. And then we have to schedule, they're gonna schedule it with the guy to get speed, and then I said, my job is to schedule all three entities together.
Right.
And we're gonna hash out what the big project is, what we know, and we'll learn from each other, and then make a decision how we proceed
Sure.
forward, if we.
I would like to recommend to the three of us that we ask Mr. Genovese to come in and give us some of his thoughts about the contract itself.
Mhm.
He brought up things last night, never even,
But I
first of all, I wasn't sure I
I'm all for
understood
that,
them.
and I told Jim that too, I think we're lucky to have him around.
Yeah,
But I don't wanna talk to him until they have a chance to have the contract people, the Carmel, whoever it is, go through it and understand, and let's see what they end up describing to them. And then if there's, I want the real holes once they understand, what the project really is.
yeah, that's fine.
Otherwise, we're just gonna get the same thing, we're
That's
gonna get
fine.
the big hole.
Well, they're meeting Thursday, a week from tomorrow.
Right.
I'm gonna miss the Upper Arkansas, Board of Conservation meeting to attend this.
That's good.
So, I will be there, and I think that's a good point. Let's find out if we get a lot of the answers.
Get the answers
and
answered, and what's not
Genovese to come
answered,
here.
then let's go figure out.
No, I think
where
that's
we
a
are.
really good strategy. I didn't mean to dovetail and take your
No,
time.
I asked for it, I said, you were there, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Okay, and I'll shut up. I know,
Alright.
I'm chastised.
Anything else, sir?
No, I didn't chastise.
Not yet.
Anything else?
No.
Not for me. Mr. Prince?
The only thing I worked on yesterday, and I sent emails to both of you that we worked on with the ambulance thing, I am on the agenda for the Wet Mountain Fire Protection District Board meeting on the 9th. That's a week from today. And as we discussed, and I mentioned this to Terry Munson, thank you. The only question I'm asking is, do you have any interest at all in furthering a discussion? If the answer is yes, then I'll go ahead and I'll set up this workshop that the committees had thought would be a good idea, but I think this is an excellent approach. So, yeah, so that's what it's gonna be, just a one-shot move on.
Good. Anything else, sir?
No, other than, the broadband thing we talked about.
Yeah, I don't have a lot either. I did attend the celebration dinner for the outgoing dispatchers last night, up at, the restaurant in Silver Cliff, and, Sheriff Biley was unable to attend, but Under Sheriff Barr did a great job of, talking about the appreciation, the work that those dispatchers have done. Of course, officially we cut over to Freecom yesterday, so their last day was 30th. And, so it was a nice little event. They gave them a couple of little token of their appreciation gifts, so it's good. Now I wanna let you know that, Alyssa Livengood will be doing her public health report via telephone conference. She's in a meeting in Salida today, so she'll phone in. She said she'd step out and phone in. I think she's gonna call
Yeah, call it
Kara's
9:45.
phone, and so we'll just put that on speakerphone, go through that. I think that's all I've got. And then, Upper Ark, I obviously will not be at that meeting. Commissioner Kander, will you be able to attend that meeting?
What day?
Instead? Thursday the 12th?
No, it's actually the 10th.
10th, no, I will
October
not be
10th.
in town. That's the week,
Oh, that's
next
right.
week I'm gone.
Okay, well, I guess we won't be represented in that, cause I really feel I need to be at the broadband.
Yeah,
I'll
I think
let-
you should be.
I'll let, their chairman know. It won't be there. It's not the end of the world, but
Hopefully one of our Blue Line Committee members will be able to represent the county.
Some of them have been going anyway.
I know they have.
so I will, I'll send him an email today to let him know when I'm gonna be there. Admin assistant, nope. We might come back to her, but I don't think she has anything. Attorney items?
Nothing to report since yesterday.
Okay.
Well, I guess I did get a copy of an order Judge Hunter entered on Mark Howard's, incomprehensible motion, and she basically said, I don't really understand what you're asking for here, but it sounds like maybe you want me to dismiss something, and she said, I'll grant that, so. Cause he had filed a motion to expunge his record, and that's not something that happens in a civil case, and then he filed another thing to withdraw the motion, so. But anyway, that's apparently finished. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Admin assistant?
Nothing. Happy birthday.
I wanna thank you. I wanna publicly thank Kara for bringing in some goodies for a little birthday celebration.
made
Thank
them.
you. Oh, she made those.
Got it
Oh,
right
yeah,
early this
yeah.
morning.
Wow.
Stayed up most of the night.
And I saw her with a little hand cart bringing those in because they are heavy, aren't they?
No, they are, yeah, they're good.
Okay, we'll move on. Staff reports. Aeropuerto.
Aerial Port Day.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are ya?
Good, good.
See you,
Morning.
Bob.
What are you doing?
Hey, Bob. Good morning, sir.
Hay blow away on the end of the runway.
Yeah, hay bales are out there.
They didn't get blown into the highway.
No. Got some paperwork for you this morning on the airport courtesy car.
Okay.
This is the policy.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Bob.
On the governing policy on how we're going to
Thank you.
operate and all that.
Yeah, you got an extra one for Kelly or no?
Yeah.
Take care.
Should be 5.
And then insurance.
Thank you, sir.
And then this is, what is this?
That's the liability, remember the property damage one?
Yeah, it's hard, you have to have one.
Yeah. And he didn't push that very much, he said that's just something we have to do.
Yeah, so he explained it to me is, you have to have a policy, and then we can issue the auto.
Right, yeah. Okay, now to the important stuff. Well, that's important too. In September, we sold 680 gallons of fuel. We currently have 631 in the storage tank, which means in 2 months, we sold all the fuel we bought. July 28th.
You get 6,000 gallons.
No, 2,000.
Or 2,000.
Yes,
680 is sold, 631 in the tank.
Yeah, 631. So, July 28th is the evening of July 28th. We bought fuel 2,000 gallons, and we've sold it all. I'm having a meeting with Kit today.
Yeah, I asked him to get out.
Yeah.
I was wondering if he
Yeah,
called.
he called me last evening, and we're gonna meet out there today to talk about the concrete damage in front of the fire truck. So,
And I'm sure you're certainly cognizant of the fact that we go back in with 4 inches of concrete, we'll be right back in the same boat.
we got 4 inches, it's not
Got
gonna
ahead,
hit.
I don't think there's any current action on any road base under.
Yeah, gonna have to do something. We also got a bill that I don't quite understand all I know about it, and that was from QT Pod for, cell service for a year, cell phone service, which is $480. Lynn and I called them yesterday to try to understand exactly what was going on. That part of it I grasped real quick. We don't pay a monthly cell phone bill, so they get a discount by incorporating all the people that have the 4,000 machines. So they get a discount and they pass it on to us, so it's only costing us $40 a month for the cell service for the machine.
So the county's not paying for your cell service out there
For
That's correct.
the transmission of the,
Right.
This
fuel
is not
cell.
cell phone, this is for the
For the
dispenser.
right,
fuel dis- got
for
it.
the dispenser.
Okay.
It uses a cell phone. And then the other part of it was $945, which is what they call the base access fee. And I'm gonna have to call her back again today to find out exactly what that means.
For a year?
For a year, $945.
This is the first year we've had to pay that because
Right.
we haven't been in the calendar year with them yet,
Right.
with this new system.
Right. But I wanna make sure that I understand now. I know that it does include, 24/7 tech support and automatic, software updates and cloud-based something or other, whatever that means.
Bob just got his first cell phone a couple weeks ago.
Can't find the rotary dial.
Yeah, he said.
Yeah. But I know that it used to be when we called them for technical support, they charged, $65 a minute
Yeah.
to talk to them,
$65 a minute?
a minute.
How do you get this job?
Right.
I have no idea, but to me that.
So it's a deal if that's
Yeah.
true.
And we talked to some of the other, people that had Keypod also, and we asked them, I said, what do you do about that? And they said, talk fast. But anyway, I am gonna give her a call and get a little bit better grasp on what all that does include. The only other thing we've got, well, two things. We need some fill dirt because we've got, one lot left to lease, other than those 3 at the end of the taxing lane. We need fill dirt to be able to lease those. We, took some fill dirt that was sort of in a pile over where the new, T hangers are gonna go. And we moved that over there, but we still need quite a bit.
So we got a sign, are you gonna put something in the paper? Fill
Ye-
dirt one?
Yeah,
One thing we can consider
That's
doing
a-
at
that's
some
a
point, cause it's revenue if we get the hangars built,
right.
is, I know there's a pile that can be moved. County could move it, but in order to make it legal,
We'd have to pay
you'd have
for
to pay
labor.
the labor on the
Right.
drivers, and they can do it as Gary could let them come out and help, move it. So something to think about, plan with them if we don't get a lot of people moving that dirt, cause it will bring in, what do you got? You've got 2 of them sold if it's there now.
Right.
Yeah.
Why would we have to pay the county to do county work?
It's, I talked to Dennis Hunt about it, on the, airport, because it's highway funds, it's not there's an aviation department, the Colorado Department of Transportation Aviation, that was responsible for the runway stuff. So he said that, well, you know what, maybe I'll have to clarify it, cause if they're out plowing snow, for example, that's not a highway, and so they just keep track of, they do it in 10 minutes, but, in theory, you would be reimbursing the drivers out of the airport budget, to plow the snow. But, something like that, maybe, you probably don't have to, Tom, that's a good question.
Well, I don't think we're paying the county extra to plow snow out there, are we?
No, we're keeping track of the time.
We
I
all,
just thought they went out and did it.
They do.
Yeah, so if we could get them to come and just move some of that dirt that we moved earlier from the burn, or even just anywhere out there on the property.
I think that's probably, legit.
Yeah, it's county within county, I don't.
Yeah.
I think so, they're not a separate taxing district or anything, I
No.
think it'd be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just has to do with the runway maintenance.
That's a good understanding.
And we could get those filled so that the winter moisture could help settle that.
That would be the
We
best
could have
thing.
some buildings on those next summer.
yes.
Things are starting to wind down, well, not really, we heard Gary yesterday, but when they can free up a loader and a dump truck, that'd be pretty easy to do.
And we've got, one of the new hangars just about complete, the roof and sides are on. The only thing we got left on is the door and insulation and some trim. But anyway, that one's just about complete. And then the other new one, Fence Autos hangar, they were supposed to deliver the steel, Monday. And it didn't come on Monday, and we had a bunch of guys out there waiting for steel, but it didn't show up Monday or Tuesday. But there's 3 18-wheelers loaded with steel out there this morning, so.
Nobody to put it up.
Well, they're unloading it, but, they're gonna start erecting it on the 15th.
They're going on what, 3?
Condo hangars and
It's
twin
condo.
Or is the one we vacated the line, so it'll be
Yes.
on the
Yes.
east side of the taxi line?
Well, I call it a condo, it's a common wall.
Yeah, it's 90 some odd feet wide. So it's a big hangar. And the only other thing that I need to talk about this morning is courtesy car.
Well, before we dive into that, if you don't mind, I've got a couple of just quick questions. Did you guys discuss the tractor trailer that's sitting out there for
Yep,
sale?
it's gone.
Okay, thank you.
Geico was out here with it.
Then the other thing I wanted to ask you about was a couple things, but the T-hanger project. How did we come about T-hangers versus regular hangers? Is somebody gonna do that privately
Yes,
and then sublease those, or?
yes. And he's already got, he wants to build 4, and he's already got 3 of them occupied,
If they're built.
if they're built.
And
And, well,
And
he,
paved.
yeah, and he wanted to talk to Lynn and I yesterday about, where they're gonna be and all that kind of good stuff, but we just ran out of time, and he was working on Lynn's hangar, and, Lynn had,
you guys, have you got your big out, the layout?
Yeah.
Now that you've got the boys together and all that?
yeah, we just gotta figure out exactly how wide we want the hangar section between the 2 new taxi
And
lanes.
a common parking area.
Yeah. Those things we need to sort of get nailed down. But he wants to get started as soon as he can.
Like before frost this year or in the spring?
Probably spring.
And I haven't asked about this, we've talked about these T-hangers before. You feel like this is appropriate structure,
Yeah.
fit in the big plan of the airport?
Yeah, in the master plan, from the very beginning, there were T-hangers planned out there. And a lot of people, they can't afford these big hangars. And a T-hanger is a heck of a lot cheaper than a regular big hangar. And, for the smaller
Airplane.
airplanes and people like me that don't have any money, you know, it's a good deal,
Got it.
Okay,
so.
good, all right, thank you, sir. Well, let's move on then to the courtesy car thing, shall we?
the courtesy call.
So you're gonna bring them, did you find out if the
Yeah.
sheriff is done with it and all that
Yes,
jazz?
Yeah, we went down and looked at that,
One of them needs tires, I don't know, did he get back with you on that?
they did. They do not have any tires. They took the tires, Road and Bridge. They took the tires off of the Tahoe and put them on the smaller vehicle.
So we need a night crew to go get him back.
Well, they put the best tires they had on the biggest vehicle. Let's put it that way. The one that they assumed would probably be used a little more. So the sheriff's office took offline 3 vehicles, 2 of those Tahoes and then the little one that we looked at with the bad tires. I can't even think of the model, the Durango.
We've already got the tags for the Durango and top.
Yeah, there's no plates on the Durango, yeah.
They're in the desk drawer at the airport.
Okay, all right, so you've got those.
Yes.
All right. So there's another vehicle coming offline with the sheriff's office, the 3rd vehicle, which really doesn't have anything to do with this conversation. And actually, I think is gonna help us because I've been trying to figure out a way to get some vehicles for Department of Human Services. So maybe we take that 3rd vehicle and,
Which one has less miles?
yeah, and that was why I brought it up. If we're gonna try to get a vehicle to DHS, they're typically from Denver, Colorado Springs, Pueblo to here, Canyon, so on. So they're gonna put a lot more miles on a vehicle than the courtesy car would. My thought was to see how you guys felt about taking the lowest mileage vehicle and maybe see if we can't use that for DHS.
It'd be fine.
But, so the big question is, which vehicles?
Yeah.
Now, we've already assumed that it's the 2 vehicles outside, but I'm proposing maybe we relook that a little bit. They're all registered with the county.
You're paying taxes.
So,
No, you guys are behind.
As long as we don't drag this out another 90
well,
days.
yeah, and I think we go with it if that's what we decide to do. And then later, if we
Move
say,
it
hey,
back
let's
in.
swap one of those
Okay,
Get them
vehicles
out
out,
there. Gotta get them out.
just
Yeah.
because of the mileage, that'd
Right.
be the only reason.
Right.
we're on board with that.
Okay,
Just,
and this real early in the process, so, yeah.
we need to lock in
Did we ever
decision.
find the minutes of when we had prior discussion about this?
No, I did not have time
I was
yesterday.
going to and I didn't,
And,
it fell through the cracks.
But I know we did it, because that's why we did the plates,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it was all approved.
Right, yeah,
You were just waiting on insurance.
right.
And there's still insurance on it, you can drive them out there, but you gotta get it transferred.
Well, we could've, if
Get
we'd have
that
had one
instead.
out yesterday, Bill, we could've, there was a guy that flew in and got stuck, ended up spending the night.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
could, he could've
Yeah.
used one out down.
So, obviously, the elephant in the room is how much money we looking and who's gonna pay for it.
We are.
We are. We looked at our budget and, if we take a little here and a little there, we've got enough to cover the insurance
At least for this first year,
Yes.
hopefully.
for the
And
year.
build on it next year.
Yeah, yeah.
I, from this commissioner's seat, don't have a problem if we had to kick some in to make the insurance thing work. I don't think you'd get a lot of resistance from me, but I'm all on board with us trying it.
Yeah.
If you can swing it within your budget this year, then let's look at it next year.
Yeah.
Cause you didn't budget for insurance this year,
Yeah,
right?
right.
You're gonna,
Yeah.
But we are.
You are for next,
Right.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But,
and in theory, you ought to have more income.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're taking, like I said, we're just
We didn't have
looking at the different line items other than fuel.
Right.
We're not touching fuel.
That's what I was thinking.
It's coming out of the rest of the budget and,
Mr. Prince, your comment?
I would like to get this thing done.
Get it over with,
Yeah.
let's get it out
And
there.
we've been fooling with it, I don't mean fooling, but we've been discussing this too long.
Well, here's what we've been waiting on.
Right, we got it.
But now that we have it.
Now that Lynn's
I don't
good
wanna-
buddies with the
Charlie,
insurance
if you
company.
don't tell me that the
Our share
insurance
is
vehicle, let's get this thing done.
So $2,256 for both vehicles for a year, is that correct? And then this $1,100,
Property
$11 on
insurance.
top of that. So 3367 total.
We were talking yesterday, we're just figuring 3,500, where we could get 3,500 out of our budget for this year.
I'm thinking for what you're doing with the vehicles, unknown drivers at any given time, who's just sign a waiver and an authorization, it just doesn't sound ridiculously expensive to me. I mean, that
Right.
sounds almost reasonable.
Right.
Considering, I mean, if it was a family, I'd say that's way too high.
Right.
But for what we're doing
But
commercially, it
for a
makes
commercial
sense.
thing, it's very good. If you go to a rental car outfit, you know, even your own auto insurance is considered in that contract,
Right.
Absolutely correct.
which you can do on this.
Right,
as well.
and if you read our sign-up sheets and all that, there's a place for
Their
their
insurance.
Right.
own insurance, so.
Yeah. Well, I would move we authorize the airport board to contract with Illinois National Insurance, move ahead, buy insurance to cover these two vehicles for the courtesy cars.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to authorize airport to move forward with obtaining insurance for the two airport courtesy cars. Discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed nay? Carried.
I don't think we needed to vote. That's what,
Now, go hang an airport
Doesn't
sign on the door and drive it out there.
I think a sign on that courtesy car of the Silver West Airport would be a wonderful sign.
We've
We've
already got the
got-
signs.
And then go get a business like Jay's Loan Shop on it and say, come in.
So,
We're
I'd
gonna-
buy an
then
ad.
Yeah,
so then
you would.
the nitty gritty of it, I can text or email this guy back, tell him we're good to go, so then what? He's
Need an
gonna send us a-
invoice,
Yeah,
send that to
a
Dawn.
policy and an invoice, or?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he'll send you the regular policy and
Right.
with the price on it.
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
we definitely need an invoice.
And Don will
Yeah.
handle it and we'll get it paid for by the
Alright,
end of the month.
okay.
I would guess you just need to make sure Don understands that that's gonna come out of your airport budget for this
Well, unless
year.
we can sneak it in, so.
I'll go talk to her right
I'd take it
after
out
this
of the
meeting.
budget.
Midnight, you're gonna do that at midnight too?
Yeah.
And then as far as I know, we talked about it, Byron has the keys, and if you've got the plates for the Tahoe, then we should be good to go.
Alright, good deal.
And we'll look at the tire
We'll make
situation.
that happen this week.
Yeah, let's put the Durango on the front end of the use list because the tires on the Tahoe are
Yeah.
very dicey.
So we'll at least get one out there.
Yeah,
Well, I'd get them both out there, but if I were you.
Yeah, get them out there, get 'em.
Alright.
yeah, we'll get
And
them both
then-
out
Because
there.
the other one,
Right.
the tires are pretty bad. I
Right.
would
Okay,
put it on
they'll
there.
drive out.
Yeah, you
there.
might not wanna put it in use, but at
Right.
least get it out
Okay,
there.
alright.
I don't know where you're gonna park them, but,
Where the
They'll both
semi
be
used to
outside.
be.
so.
Quick question, you may have answered it and I wasn't paying attention. We only have 631 gallons of fuel
Yes.
in inventory. Did you tell us that you are ordering more?
No, I did not.
Oh.
I started checking yesterday, checking around to find out if we could split a load, because the last load we did not, well, we split the load, but it was with
Somebody in
somebody
Rifle, Colorado.
way up in the northeast corner, and they charged us a split fee. Normally, if we split it with somebody like Colorado Springs or Pueblo, they don't charge us a split fee.
I see.
So we get it at the advertised
You're looking for a
price.
truck.
Right, so with that split fee, normally we pay about $6,000 for a load of fuel. We paid $8,000 for the last one. And
Okay.
I really don't wanna do that.
And our area local airports aren't ready for another load yet, and we are, so that's like, wow.
So if money wasn't an issue,
Right.
what would you do about fuel?
I'd order it.
How much?
8,000 gallons. If you had a tank.
Yeah, I don't have a tank.
Money wasn't
full,
an
but
issue, that's what you
Get
do.
2,000.
If money wasn't an issue, that's all you would order.
Right, because right now we're going into the slow season, and there is you gotta sell it within 9 months. Right now, we're going into the winter, and I wanna have enough to carry us through the winter,
But not,
but not so much that
You're sitting on
We-
2 or 3,000
like,
gallons.
we run out of time.
Outdated.
Right.
Alright.
Hey, real quick, you gonna get the team out there to unroll those,
Yeah, we'll try to figure something out.
cause they'll be up to inspect, and I'd like to see it covered before they, cause I told them it was, which we hadn't gotten 2/3 of. And they see the bales there, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll,
For the rolls.
yeah, we'll get the guys together.
Okay. Great.
Okay, anything else, sir?
No, sir.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, thanks your
Thanks,
committee
Bob.
for all, or your board for the work they've done on
Yeah, you guys are doing good, keep it
on the
up.
vehicles.
Or well, I got the grammar Nazi.
If you need some help transferring those vehicles, give me a shout.
Okay. Well, you're not gonna be here.
Well, I'm not gonna do
Aloha.
it this week.
Have a wonderful.
Aloha.
Yeah.
Okay. Office of Emergency Management.
I'm coming.
William.
How's it going?
Been waiting all
Oh,
the time and now you're not ready, is that?
Where have you been?
Everywhere.
Good morning, how are you?
How is everyone?
Good, good, good.
Great. Any questions so far? Report given? Really just, nailing down some planning capabilities that we have, any gaps that we wanna accomplish to fill in the next 5 or so years. So, we as the CES group did the TEP, the training and exercise plan. And I just asked, what we as a group wanted to focus on, our capabilities and what to build upon. So from that, we have some training ideas for the next years to build upon, so really exciting. An update from just today, the Decker fire is now 3,746.
Still
acres.
going along.
I have a new map of it if you all wanna see it. They put in some evacuation orders.
When did the car?
Last night, it just went a little haywire. Yeah. So I contacted, the Fremont, it's between the Fremont and Chaffee side, and so Chaffee County had to do some evacuations, and so Fremont's doing a door-to-door, seeing if they're gonna need to, or, that kind of thing, so. And they also asked if we could have the, fairgrounds as a secondary location to, have an evacuation site for, the animals, and so I called Alyssa, and she gave it okay, and she's gonna talk to some other people on it, but, it's really just a fail-safe for them if they need it, so if they're gonna use Canyon, but then if Fremont has to evacuate, then that site would be used for the Fremont, and so it's just the.
Are they still trying just to let it burn and not control it?
So, yes and no. In certain parts of it, yes. And so I know this is gonna be quite the kind of PR,
Sounded like somebody trying to sell something.
right, but there's a balance in fires, there always will be, of letting the thing burn because it's gonna cost way more trying to log it than letting it burn. It was a good time of year was it wasn't gonna burn hot, and so it could do a good sweep of it without it burning deep. And so, but then with the 2 red flag days that we had, it just went up, and they, before the red flag days, they went in and did mitigation around the houses once homeowners said yes, so that was really cool, so they did some free mitigation work as part of it.
You bet.
And so, it's just the balancing act of it. But, yeah, so, I doubt we're gonna have any, people to house for evacuation sites, but the fairgrounds might be used. But other than that, everything's just been pretty good, just trying to, again, get things squared away and put together a good overall for the next couple of years.
Gonna have a conversation with Donna Hobby this morning about the emergency services line item in the budget.
About,
Well,
sorry.
I'm gonna guess within the last 4 or 5 years, we've gone from roughly $300,000 down to 46, 43.
Yeah, I saw that with fund balance.
So, I just wanted you to know, I'm gonna ask her, basically, why is that? What can we do to kind of reverse that trend, and how do we get that fund back up?
Yeah, so, I had a conversation with her about it a couple days ago, and also yesterday, and so, I'm, with those conversations, being more mindful in the purpose of spending, if those things are gonna be needed for sure, not within the next maybe year, and so, that 9,000 honestly isn't gonna be spent all this year, so that's money that won't be spent, and there's certain little items within the budget, but I also have to be careful because of the EMPG grant, the reimbursement side of it won't be as much if we don't spend as much,
Right.
and so
Is that
finding
what's
that
happened
balance
over
around-
the, I'm gonna ask that.
it might
A
be
lot of
part
it
of
hadn't
it.
been spent and they just kept decreasing the amounts.
Well, okay, so emergency services fund isn't just OEM, it's also the dispatch side. And so all of the upgrades and things that needed to happen within that,
So it did.
yeah, and so, while maybe some of it was OEM in the past, it wasn't just OEM. So, and I'm still learning in general what the fund has gone through,
Yep.
because just July, really, so, but yeah, definitely mindful of that.
Good. Well, I just didn't want you to pick up that we had this big discussion about the emergency
Right.
services fund balance, and they never said anything to me about it,
Right.
so.
Appreciate that.
For me, it's really kind of a learning curve as well, to try to figure out
Right.
what the history's been and where we should be and why we're.
Where we're at now.
How long are the salamander cards good for?
It depends. So, usually we do 2 years as an expiration date. And so, and then, so say I just printed a batch for the EMS people right now. They're good for 2 years, but I have everyone as expiration of 12/31 next 2 years.
So, as individual card holders, they don't need to worry about that, you deal with that.
Well, if they have expired ones, then I should.
Right. But if
put
they're
them on
current,
ones. Yeah.
then you have them on a schedule.
So to kind of separate out, well, emergency management is in charge of doing the printing and making sure like that part. I'm trying to have the agencies, because different people within the agencies have rights to update their people, and so I'm not gonna update fires. I'll print them,
Right.
but I'm not gonna
It's
keep
up to them to
upkeep
deal with
them.
it, so they just tell you, here's what
Correct.
we need, okay. I thought you handled that whole thing.
Yeah, so with some I will, but I'm trying to kind of try and
You could be
conquer
in
some
charge of
things.
hours, right?
Well, actually, that Kara has access to it, and so Kara would be doing it for the government agency
Got it.
in general, and then
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause I think Brenda did ours the
Yeah.
last,
Yeah.
just like within the last year, maybe.
yeah.
And then, was there a code red sent out on this last little fire?
No. So
Was
which
it
one are you talking
Sunday?
about? The Sunday one? Not to my knowledge.
Okay,
So
'cause I didn't get it.
yeah, no. That's also another interesting side effect of the transition to FreeCom is that they haven't had an emergency notification system at all.
Yeah.
And so now they're going to contract with Everbridge, but we have Code Red. And so we're up to date with our contract until March, and then I was thinking about doing like an extension to finish this out for 2020, and then seeing what they're gonna do, because the switch to Everbridge is not gonna be like a one big thing. Like they have to put a lot of things in, and we've done 7 years of work to get 6,000 people signed up for Code Red. That's gonna be quite the kind of data dump that we're gonna have to do. It's gonna be interesting. But no, so I don't think there was a Code Red system.
Thank you.
We're trying to keep those as useful or as impactful as possible. So if we send them out on every little thing, then people are just gonna
It's
be
like
like,
Chicken Little.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So,
Kara with a K.
so it's a C, isn't it?
It is with a C.
I was like, oh no.
I didn't even, I'm like, is this?
And
You want to tell you out, but
Well,
help me
no,
out.
Evans with an R.
However you want to spell it.
Kelly and I went around and around about
That
that,
one makes
and
Is it Kelly with a C?
sorry.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else to kind of highlight. So we have some trainings coming up. The next CES meeting, we're gonna bring this is actually gonna be really good. So the resource mobilization / funding side of what that's gonna look like. Christy Coleman's gonna do that training, and so it's gonna be kind of, it would be really good for you guys to be there too, because it just shows like what that process would look like. So we ordered these things, and we're gonna pay for them, like what that process should look like, and solidify some things. And there's even like a hands-on workshop to go on maybe the next time, and so it would be kind of an exercise with it. So this would be just the training, the explanation of it, and the next one would be a hands-on, which would be really good. And then what else we have going? There's a fatality management planning. That's one of the, it's a mass casualty training. So one of the gaps that we identified within the county is mass casualty planning and preparedness for that. And so we have that training in November, and then it's my hope to be able to do a tabletop in the first quarter of 2020 to build off that tabletop. So within exercises, there's different categories. So a tabletop exercise is basically a conversation. The facilitator gives in different injects and different modules and say, this is what happened, and it builds upon. And so you're able to train train on your plan and see if it works or not. And then you're able to go back to your plan, and then we can, from there, do a functional where you like actually have players involved and doing the thing, rather than just having a conversation. Cool. Anything else? Any questions for me?
I do not.
How's Kara coming along with grant writing?
They're good.
Can we use her on something else eventually?
So there's actually a grant writing training in Florence that we're gonna go to.
Yeah, that's what I saw there. Are you
Yeah.
taking her down there?
Yeah. And so the landfill grant is actually a good introduction to a reimbursement side, because it's a one purchase. There's some deliverables to be given, but they're really simple, and so that process is just gonna be really simple and easy to do. So good introduction to it.
Good.
And I think I asked you this last month, in your 2020 budget, you've got 25% match for the coroner's vehicle built into that.
Yes, so there's the Homeland Security budget line, and that's where it's under.
Very good. All right, ma'am, thank you.
I'll let you know about the Decker fire. They've asked, I told Fremont that if he needs anything else to let me know, since he's a one-man shop as well. So I'll
Well,
let
we
you guys know.
appreciate you keeping us informed about that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Have a
ma'am.
good rest of your day.
Thank you. So Miss Alyssa just called in.
Are you ready?
It looks like we want to speak with her.
Okay, hang on 1 second.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Good morning.
Good morning, how are ya?
Doing fine, thank you. Your call was right on time. I'm assuming Kara called you, huh?
She did.
Yeah, perfect. Are you all right? You got time out of your conference?
Yep. Yep, I'm all set.
Okay.
So, I guess primarily, Meredith probably just filled you guys in on the fire situation up here in Salida.
Yes.
So we have a secondary shelter set up at the fairgrounds, and if we need to for people, we'll use the Lutheran Church. So.
Okay. Did you talk to the Saddle Club people?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
So, yep, we're all set.
Okay,
So,
good.
just wait and see. I'm kind of surprised the air quality in Salida is actually really good right now. So,
It blew out last night, boy.
yeah.
Is the smoke plume back up this morning or not?
Not as bad as it was yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
It kind of looks like an apocalypse though. Like the highway is just lined with horse trailers leaving.
Wow.
So, But anyways, so that's what's on the horizon for that.
Okay.
The usual kind of same. I'm actually here in Salida right now for this opioid meeting, so I'll get a little more dialed in about information regarding the opioid person that we talked about earlier in the week.
Okay. Word travels fast.
Does it?
Oh yeah, everybody's very excited about the whole grant possibility of bringing somebody on. So everybody I've talked to anyway.
Very good. Yeah. So hopefully that'll be a good thing for our community and kind of give us some segue for working with Fremont County too, which, you know, the more we can collaborate regionally, the more funds we can get. So.
Cool.
Anyways, got that. Looking at my report here. I am real close to getting the MAT program set up for the jail, the medicated assisted treatment program for the anybody that has opioid issues in the jail. And that primarily at this point looks like if they've already started a program, then we can at least continue it. The next step will be getting people started that are incarcerated.
Okay. Quickly, which grant pays for the AEDs?
Well, it depends on where they go, what grant I pull that out of.
Okay.
So, like, we got 2 AEDs for the school, and I took that out of the maternal child health grant and the child fatality grant.
Okay.
But like the one that we got for the senior centers, that one came out of the emergency preparedness grant. So just sort of wherever it applies best is where I take it out of.
Got it. Okay. Any other exciting news you want to share with us?
Well, I was deputized as a deputy coroner yesterday.
Thank you. You were reading my mind.
So yeah, well, that'll be. I'm excited about that opportunity. I think that there's a lot of good possibilities coming down the pipe there.
Right.
So.
Good. And
I like to hear that. I don't want to hear there's business with the coroner.
yeah, obviously, then you'll be the front person while they're gone to their conference in Utah.
Correct. Yeah, and like not next week, but the next week they'll be gone.
Right.
Well, it is next week now. Yeah, next week. So yeah, and Art got me all hooked up with some education stuff I need to start with, and Buck of course will be around, so if anything happens,
Right.
I'm not like just in the wind.
Okay. Good. Perfect. Well, congratulations. That's great. I think that's a good match.
I'm excited about it. I think it will be a good match because there's a lot of work that public health does in conjunction with the coroner, so it's kind of just a natural transition, really. So.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Any questions, gentlemen?
Just a quick one. In the last sentence, I had a question in my mind. Cindy and Alyssa, that's Cindy, you're Cindy,
Mhm.
right? So, public health administrator, who does she actually work for? Is she working with Cindy, for her, or with us? How does she?
So Cindy works for me.
Yeah.
And I work for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, okay, I got it.
And she's primarily the grant administrator for the EPR grant. Sorry, I almost said EMPG.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
so it's our public health nurse, and it's a two-person office.
Well,
basically.
no,
Is that
it's
what it is?
5, but
Is there, we're at 5.
Right. So I'm the director. So it's my circus and my monkeys. But then we have Beth Green is our immunization nurse. And then Carmelina's also a nurse that works with public health, and so she does a lot of work with the school, obviously, as she's already there. And then Cindy is doing a lot of our emergency preparedness stuff. She's helping us get like our plans up to snuff, and correspondence with other counties, and so that job is, a lot of places have 2 or 3 people just in that job in their public health department.
Yeah, I just didn't know the organization, that's what I was trying to clear up in my mind.
Yeah, so that's where we're at.
So you, Rhonda, Beth, Carmeline, Cindy,
Yes. 5 of us.
yeah, yeah.
And they're all, Rhonda, the administrative assistant, and I are only full-time people in public health. All the rest are part-time.
Part-time.
Right. Yeah, I was in your office yesterday, obviously, because I talked to you as well, but your office looks great, continues to look great, very welcoming.
Thank you.
I just think you guys have done a good job over there.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's been a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Good. Anything else, gentlemen?
No.
Something I'd like to ask, as a deputy coroner, do you and Vern get paid for that?
Yeah, we get paid $100 per call,
Okay.
and that's
And-
in Art's budget.
Okay. I keep having these concerns that county work is put on hold while coroner work comes when it needs to come. How do you balance your primary responsibility versus what I'm assuming is your secondary responsibility as deputy coroner?
Sure, well, at this point, you know, the statistic is 20, we've had 20 deaths so far this year, in Custer County, which is increased, but not, you know, I mean, the average is out still only 1 or 2, and honestly, like, the education that I'm doing is on my own time at this point for the coroner position, and so it really doesn't, I mean, that's the beauty of public health, is it's super flexible, so, you know, I mean, if we were to end up doing a huge evacuation, then that would take precedence over the coroner stuff, and that, you know, that's why he has more than 1 deputy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm assuming that's why he's got a couple.
I know Vern told me he's going to training for a couple of days, and I'm thinking, well, is that
Yeah, that's when I'll be on call for that.
time, or how does that work? I mean,
Sounds
that
like it is,
concerns me a lot.
because Art doesn't have that budget to cover.
Well, I think that training was covered in Art's budget, wasn't it, to go to that conference?
For 2 days.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
The cost of
But-
training, or was it the cost
But
of
it's
his?
still, yeah, I think Commissioner Prince raises a legitimate question, and that's a conversation we need to have with the coroner.
Right, which we have had.
Well, I mean, the commissioners need to have that
Oh,
conversation with him.
Yeah.
If he's going to deputize county employees, I just think we need to work through that, I agree.
We're just gonna have to tell people to die after hours.
Yeah. Well, honest to God, I mean, that's jokingly so, but that honestly is what happens.
I was gonna say, I'll bet the stats would prove that's probably accurate.
Yeah. No,
98% happens
Oh,
in
at
the middle of the
midnight.
night or early morning.
yeah, I kinda knew that. What I'm really concerned about is, and I'm really not concerned about you, cause I know you have backup and you're flexible and you make your time up, and I'm sure you put way more time in than you get paid for anyway. But I'm concerned, like, for Vern, if someone's computer has a significant malfunction and he's off getting trained on, coroner stuff, that's a concern to me. But that's not your issue, that's my
Yeah.
issue, I'm just voicing my concern.
Sure.
And again, I think that's probably a commissioner conversation with the
Right.
coroner,
Correct.
at least start there, so.
Correct.
Anything
Sure,
else for
yeah.
us?
Something
Well,
about
and just to add to that though, I think that's why it's important to have depth in that position too, with good deputies that can handle it, you know. No
Right.
matter, and same thing for my position and Vern's position, we need to have depth in our position, because not only if you're at that training, but what happens if you get smacked by a bus on hardscrabble, I mean,
And that's exactly correct, I agree with that statement 100%.
Yeah. And I'm assuming the professionalism will sort out and anyone would conduct their primary responsibility first. I mean, after all,
Sure.
that's why you have more than 1 deputy. I just wanna throw out, kind of from my knowledge, but maybe for yours as well, on the Medical Reserve Corps,
Yeah.
I see you have Mary Ann Lesage, is that the same person as Mary Ellen Lesage?
It is Mary Ellen, sorry,
no
did I mess
problem.
that up on my report?
Yeah, it's no deal. Okay. All right.
Mary Ellen, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll fix it right now.
Okay. Anything else, gentlemen?
I'm good.
Okay. Anything for us, kiddo?
I don't think so, I think we're all set.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Great
it.
work.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ma'am, appreciate you arranging that. Kara with a K. Guess I'll keep the.
Evans with an R.
However you wanna spell it,
That's
it's
right.
fine.
That's right. Okay. We've all been waited with bated breath for
The pile of paper and 5 trees.
human resource and finances.
Good morning.
Well, good morning. You're taking kind of a western look. What you got going on there?
Thank you
No
so
problem.
much.
Tell
for-
Jeff.
Oh,
Tell Jeff I said that. We're welcoming our guests to the table.
How could I do that?
I know, and
My
I wasn't gonna
mind
let
slipped
you
a
slide.
cog.
Oh, man. It was a small cog, it's okay.
Yeah.
I heard it.
That's true.
The normal, the handwrittens.
And just, if anybody's wondering, these have already been approved through the voucher system.
No, you're approving them now.
Oh.
There's a new one.
Oh,
They
well,
are,
didn't get this thing.
95% of those are the electric bills that we have to work
Right.
through the last day. That's that one. Kelly's. The FirstNet phones. And copiers, they're just really things that are, they don't bill until after the last day and then we'd be in arrears.
So, here we've been doing it for how many months? And it just hit me this morning.
These are unapproved.
These are unapproved. They have been all along.
Well, let's fix it and let's approve them
Yeah,
this morning and do that in
and
the
then we
future.
do that in the future on it. And I,
And I think I sent you the, piece of paper that hasn't listed. I think I
Yeah,
emailed
you
that
did.
to you about, 20 minutes ago.
okay.
So you had at least
Say I
have a
don't
list
remember
that
getting
you
it.
could,
I thought
that
it
you
was-
could initial it if you wanted.
Yeah, I guess we're back to process. I don't wanna panic about it, but
No.
probably then,
Gotta be paid.
see, here's the other thing, these handwrittens, I've been signing them fairly consistently on whose authority, I guess, really the question needs to be asked that. I never thought about that till just right now. I thought, do we need to vote to approve handwritten?
And then one question that I don't know if you could on one is on the human services. Because usually that's
Just
an
comes and goes,
emergency
you never know.
situation that someone's
They got
power
them,
or
yeah.
a child's in danger or
Yeah,
something.
they just
and,
flag me down and say, hey, we,
you know,
A lot of the handwritten need written right now.
yeah.
yeah, they're
Council, what do you
just-
think about that? These are fairly standard, although they're not always the same every time.
There's a
But we
standard 6
know
of them,
that we're gonna,
but there's
Some
usually a
of
few
them,
stragglers, yeah, absolutely.
I think, well, first of all, for all the ones that you haven't voted on, you can just ratify all previous actions, signing these,
handwritten check.
these handwrittens, and if there's an emergency, the same thing, you can go ahead and sign it and then ratify it at the next meeting. But I mean, if you wanna make the record clean, you can just have a motion now to ratify all the handwrittens for the, say, since January of this year.
Which I think is probably wise, and then should we deal with, because you don't always, these don't always hit the commissioner meeting either.
No,
That's the other
this
problem,
is- I
see?
They
mean, it
won't,
was-
they will not.
Maybe
Yeah.
what you could do is when you approve the vouchers every month, ratify the handwrittens for the previous month also.
For the previous month,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like you just
Yeah,
approved the
I've been doing
vouchers
that.
for, September, so then you just ratify the handwrittens.
And August would have been in September, because that's when they would have been signed.
That would be a good way to do it, but then you could just give us a piece of paper with the list of the ones that we're
And
ratifying.
we have that right now, I just opened your review.
Because I send it to the
Cause
paper
if there's some
and then,
anomaly, something,
Yeah.
we can see it, so, that's
do I
good.
need to do something different?
Well, that's what I'm trying to think through. Certainly this document you just sent today, did you print these today, or were these yesterday?
Late yesterday.
Yeah, okay. So it's not like you do this a week ahead of time, because you don't get these bills
No.
in, so,
I think I just put them in your box yesterday.
yeah, so, man, and then if we say, well, we'll authorize a commissioner to sign these, that's kind of a blank check. We don't, the other commissioners would never, you don't
No, I
know
like
anyway,
that.
but.
I like the idea of ratifying it, like
Yeah.
I said, and then with, as long as there's a listing of what we're ratifying, and then we would trust, you or me, I get caught in the hallway too, Jay has. So, you're not gonna sign something that would be, you can always discuss it later, and then, in the ratification, you're changing it, maybe updating it, whatever.
Say
And
no more
that would make it,
Well,
that type,
But
for that.
Yeah.
procedurally, that's a problem.
It is.
Because
I know, it is.
we're authorizing one commissioner to sign the checks and make approvals without the other,
I understand that,
without a check and balance
Right.
of the commissioners looking at. I actually, when you send that every month, I actually scan them.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna tell you I go line for line, but I spend 15 minutes
Yeah.
with them. See if there's anything unusual, something that jumps out at me.
Now you're talking about the voucher.
I'm talking about the monthly ones.
Right, we
So
never.
there's a second
never
set
get
of
a chance
eyes,
to read.
but we don't get a second
That's
set of
right.
eyes on these. And it's not a lack of trust, that is not the issue, it's just an issue of what's good
Right.
The
procedure.
process, yeah,
Should
exactly.
what if I had, let's say Tom was sitting in here, so he was gonna do it, that we contacted one or the other of you, so I had a 2-to-1 for initialing them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute, how,
And
why
that's a
is it,
That's problematic too, because
What's-
Tom's here often and we're not.
let me
But
ask you a
but
question.
one more of you,
Yeah.
Right.
to make it a 2 out of 3, I don't know.
Why,
This
this
has
is
been
a
an
bookkeeping issue, why can't we wait till the mid-month meeting and approve them then? Why do these guys have to be paid instantly?
The airport liability would have expired, so it had to
Well,
go.
is there a reason why we can't get that before now? And why is, you see what I'm saying?
They usually send the binder not very long. San Isabel,
I mean, a paper copy
Oh, and I don't
machine
have those-
contract
the
is not a
stamp.
critical thing, can wait.
You
2
know,
weeks to be paid.
ordinarily is it San Isabel? If you don't pay it in that span of time, because I would love to not have handwrittens and do it the next month,
Well, I don't mean wait for the whole month, I can handwrite it,
but,
pay it
but
a
usually
week
there are
later,
due dates like the
after we
10th or
get to see
11th
it.
on Black Hills and Sangre de Cristo. So I
I
don't.
think for practical matter, we ought to go ahead and sign them so they get paid. And then we can ratify them after, we'll look at it after the fact.
That's what I would say.
And if there is an issue, which I suspect there'll never be an issue, but if there is an issue, at least someone else has looked at it, other than just one who signed it. Take some of the heat off whoever signed it, just in case someone says it's an erroneous bill, it slips through, and we pay a $3,000 bill to the Schmaltz company, and we have no business sending it. Other eyes could look at it and go, wait a minute, who is this? I've never seen him before, that kind of thing. So I don't have a problem ratifying it after
I
the
know,
fact.
that's what I'm saying.
But it takes whoever signs it, I mean, the beauty of us all initialing the report is that we're all taking the responsibility that we have looked at this and we are approving it. And I don't wanna put that burden on, and I'm gonna say Tom, because he's here all the time. You know, that Tom is the one who's signed, I'm assuming he signed the majority of these. I don't think it's fair for you to have to take that responsibility, so I think we ought to ratify it at a later date.
Why can't you put it on the agenda for the first meeting each month and have it observed?
It was Herculean to have them by, when it's the 3
That's
in a
why I
row.
was
it
asking, why
was
can't we
really-
ratify it on the second, on the
Well,
mid-month
she just
meeting?
explained that, some
No,
of
no,
those.
no.
She did explain it.
I know, it's not what I was, she can get them ready like they are now, and we can ratify it, instead of worrying about it instantly this month. Well, we can't see them, I haven't seen them yet, unless we wanna sit here and look at them now. And then get us a sheet during a 2-week period of time before the first meeting of Wetmore, or wherever we're gonna be, and ratify them then. What's the difference?
Well, as I was gonna explain, she just said some of the due dates for these are before
I
the
know.
middle of the meeting, or
But-
before the middle of the month.
But see, we're ratifying. They've already gonna be signed by you or me or Jay if we happen to be there, and because she wants to get them out before we get a fee for being late.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood. You're saying ratify them at the mid-month, not sign them at the
that's
mid-month.
what I said.
Oh,
Because that's what Jay just said. Well, let's ratify them after somebody signs them.
That's what I
The
said.
process ought to give us time, instead of arguing it on the first meeting, if we can't see it, we're not gonna see them, we're gonna have time to.
Well, and I
to look
brought
at
them so you could see
Well, yeah,
them
but-
this go round, but there's a lot
Yeah.
that have either a
Sure.
stamp, because that's where,
right.
if Tom's not, if, let's say
Yeah,
you
I-
guys are all at CCI,
Yeah,
and we have an emergency check
yeah, and we've all signed something like that already.
in there, and so that's.
But if we had a process where the mid-month, we're gonna get a rack up.
That makes sense to me. We can't
Yeah.
stop the wheels of progress.
That's right.
And not pay our bills in a timely
Sure,
manner.
and then we
Because
can,
2/3 of us can't approve it. Let's just do it, and then we'll have the opportunity to look at, like, I'm looking at right
the
now,
sheet
thinking to
of
myself,
that you rack
oh,
up.
we had some
Oh,
body
yeah,
work
it's
done at a
different.
body shop, okay? That doesn't bother me, because it wasn't a whole lot of money, and I know they were a big organization. You know, but if it was $4,000, I might say, what the heck is that all about? You understand, so a second set of eyes, even after it's the fact, because we can always go back and say, wait a minute, we paid this bill, but was it really appropriate? And take action at that time.
Right,
if we
that's
paid it
exactly right.
erroneously.
And go after the money back, or go pay more if we didn't pay
That
enough,
makes
whatever
sense.
it
That
is.
makes sense. We can't stop the wheels of progress.
Yeah,
So is me sending this enough, or, because, you know, if.
20 minutes
Fine.
before we have to sign it.
Well,
It isn't.
but
But that's
this
when
was,
she
you
got
know,
it.
I know,
it's the
so
30,
now,
the
I know
first
what
and the
I
second.
understand.
But if I
But if our
sent this,
process was go do
would
it,
I send it to Kara also, and then she would put that on the agenda for the mid-month
Sure.
meeting, and
I
then,
think that would be perfect.
that's what we should do.
and then if you make a policy that exempts whoever signed them, if it may be, because we've stamped them, or not, I personally have not stamped them,
Yeah.
but Kelly, because it might not be any
We
of
still
you
have-
signing at that
We have,
moment.
then we are legally responsible, and we're taking, and if we have to change it because it was paid wrong, or if we get a refund because it shouldn't have been paid or whatever, we should be okay. Because we, as the three of us, we're acting to correct the problem if there was one.
We're gonna get an official ruling here.
yeah, well, we probably won't, cause I won't have time to really do that. My only angst about this whole thing is the use of the motion to ratify.
Right.
Certainly, the purpose is to give approval to a prior action taken. I was gonna look the wording up, I'm not gonna take the time to do it. But I'm not sure the intent was to be used on a regular basis, I don't know that. But for now, I don't have a problem with what we're talking about. We also handwrite checks for payroll. Because not everybody's on a automatic deposit.
Well, contract labor like me, but although that is
Well,
regular
just
printed
the
out.
ones that aren't on automatic deposit, right?
But they do go
They
through
go
the
through the
payroll
voucher.
totals
That
and
their
have,
shows they're racked
that
up.
it does, even though they are a check
Right.
on there. But I think,
So they,
I think
technically, those would have been
I
approved.
think that one is, okay.
Yeah, I just think we need to do something. I don't wanna beat it to death today necessarily, but,
You know, I think it's sort of similar, the federal government even issuing checks to the military in my past history. They have a process where they pay people or pay for things, and sometimes mistakes are made and they say, I'm gonna take it back. And they take legal government, action about who's responsible to go correct things because they review them later. Even the phone company's done that. I just recently had a bill at Cyber Enterprises that they made a mistake and overcharged it when a payment was already made, so it was rectified in the process. All we have to have is a process that we legally have instilled as a part of our budgeting authorities, and to correct it, because we will be accountable, and if we have to go after somebody to pay that we overpaid or not, we correct it, just same as we would looking at a voucher right here. Why are we paying this? We're not gonna, so we can still take action even though it's after the fact. Now, how you do that legally, get the right wording on some action, or whether it's a resolution or a ratification or a policy, we need to think about it.
I think we probably picked the scab off of a wound here that we kept putting dressings on, but under what authority does anybody sign or stamp a check? What's the policies that we have in place that Kelly can stamp a check if we're gone? I haven't seen that. I know where we're headed to the statement to say that, that's
a good point.
Been done, but
Nobody's ever asked it, either from inside or outside of why we have a handwritten.
I'll be
So
the
I've
first to
never
admit,
thought about it, yeah.
I trust Donna implicitly. She hands me a stack of handwrittens. I look at who it's made out to, what the amount is. If I'm like you, if there's anything that I kind of go, wow, then I ask. But if it's first net for $500, I'm going to sign it. I'm not going to probably question. I might, because this was the first net check I've seen. I might say, oh, so now we're doing.
Right.
We have that conversation, but other than that, that's all the oversight. Same with our voucher packets. I mean, it's incumbent upon us to look at those and be comfortable with initialing them. I called on it, I've never seen this before, and I talked to Mike Halpin. Why are we paying Zimmerman what happened? Because we're not going to know that if we don't ask. And I got the lowdown on it, and I was good. Well, it was $500 less than the other estimate. Now they have to have two estimates. So,
and in some cases, when you're not good with it, you end up letting the cost go through anyway, and you fix it for the future. I mean, that's still taking care of it, one way or the other.
Well, it's like the coding error.
Sure.
Error this month.
Exactly. So I think it's sort of similar. If this wasn't right, we would catch it. If we had an opportunity to look at them, besides just signing them and running out the door, all three of us have a chance to look at it.
Well, I would move to ratify the action of signing handwritten checks from January to date.
I'll second.
Moving second to ratify is not debatable. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries. I would follow up then with a motion to ratify or
Hang
to.
on, I'm still on the first
Sorry.
motion.
Yeah, that's all right. I move we approve the handwrittens for September as presented.
Can I make a friendly suggestion?
You may.
You
Yes.
went January through the present day.
Well, October 1.
So change the first motion?
I didn't mean including today, I meant up to today. So it would be October 1.
Up to October, because October 2 was
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna do
I
a
said
separate one
up
right
to
now.
date, but I really meant October 1.
Because she hadn't got anything from today's.
I'm trying to pull up that email real quick so that I could look at it as well. I mean, I got the checks right here in front of us, but,
There's nothing.
so, the other thing, Dan, I think we're probably in agreement. I just want to summarize. By the mid-month meeting, Donna, can we have this same type of document that would cover the handwrittens?
And then I just wrote for me to send it to the newspapers, you guys, and Kara to go on the agenda
Okay.
for.
For ratification. And then how do we handle DHS?
They're in here, but they just, it says
Okay.
human services, but no info.
Right.
I just have the amount.
They're in there.
Because they're doing-
not in the big packet.
And on your
Right.
report, I just
Right.
have it blank,
Okay.
but yes, they're.
Alright, so if planning and zoning said, hey, we need a handwritten check, that'll go through the same process, right? It'll show up on this document, so we can call this a handwritten report, handwritten check report that we'll get by the mid-month if we're gonna ratify it. So anything up to the day before the mid-month
Yep.
commissioner meeting should be on that.
Be on there.
Of course, you don't have mid-month meetings every month either.
See, this one left out because we don't
Except
have this
December.
one, but so you
December
have
we
it
don't,
now, so we're okay on this one.
So December's the only one we don't have a mid-month.
Actually, we had one last December
Right.
because.
We wanted to have more fun.
In December, boy, my handwrittens go far,
Yeah.
far down because people are trying to spend out that have a bill and they're trying to get a hold of the bill.
But we would see that in mid-month January. To ratify,
But we
that's
might,
how
we
it-
might wanna do something on the December,
Or even
that I
the
try to keep
December-
them posted as they come in or something.
Yeah, you could do that.
Because that one is
It's the-
sometimes it's like the 20th, that, because we're trying to get rid of some
Yeah.
of that stuff that we couldn't do.
Yeah,
That's true.
I mean, I just think we have to work our way through these things as we go along here. I don't think there's a pat answer, and I think we just have to do the best we
Do
can
the best we
and try
can,
to
and
keep
most
the
of them will
process
just thanks.
lined out. I remember sitting in commissioner meetings prior to getting elected, and I got to where I hated the term, well, that's in process. I do think we need to keep worrying about what processes, policies, procedures we do, and so,
I think we just set a policy and we all agree that we're gonna,
And there'll be exceptions because things will come up.
we're always willing to modify
Right.
policy if we come up with a better plan later.
Right.
I mean, nothing's just done. The only thing I would like, if I can, to your motion, I think it would make sense to say handwritten checks totaling 15,300 and whatever
Yeah.
number that is, just so we know what we can go back to verify which ones we actually ratified as opposed to any that
right.
we didn't, you know what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say? So it makes sense.
So we
to
could
me.
do the motion to ratify the total amount, not each individual check.
Correct, just
We'd
the
still
total
like to see
amount.
the report, though.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, it's just, I
Yeah.
find them up against the wall in the hallway of the courthouse. I mean, it's just, you just never know when we're gonna get them,
So I'm happy to do it, it just, I don't want you to hang out there, you signed without
Yeah.
Right,
registration.
you guys come back to me and say,
And
why'd you sign this the first net? What is that about?
there
So-
was a commissioner not long ago that was held personally accountable for some actions similar to that,
Yeah,
because he didn't get authorization from the other two commissioners. So, I mean, this is just it's good procedure,
Yeah, exactly.
checks and balances, that's all it is.
okay, further discussion on the motion?
Can you?
Do you wanna
repeat the
modify the
motion?
motion to say
Uh,
how much?
This
The,
is for-
well, yeah, I guess we could each month, I get your point, yeah. So the motion would read, to approve the handwritten checks as presented in the totaling in the amount of $15,369.28.
15,369.
69.28. Yeah, that just makes it a little more specific. So any handwrittens from after this motion passes until the next,
Yeah, it goes in fact, there's one already, you know, in the, on deck, that's sitting in mine, that's already been done, that will go on the next month.
okay,
Cool.
further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries. Yeah, this is not, this is a reflection on policy for the commissioners. I don't think it's an issue of how you're doing your job, or you
No.
get them when you get them. Like you said, you worked on them till late yesterday, why?
Well, and some of them, like a credit card bill, so we pay the $29 late fee and surcharge, just, I mean, that's
Yeah.
just to throw money around a lot of them.
My credit card bill comes in time, but it needs paid like by the 4th or something, and so there's not enough
Enough time
time
to
to
get it in
approve it
before
and get
it
it in the mail and get it
Right.
done. So that's why we use the handwritten.
Anything else, ma'am, while we're
Or we'll
hammering
just
this
take your
out?
credit card.
Or are we all done? Oh, we're all done? Great.
Then we'll be in trouble.
And that's for you to look with this, because everyone else has it. And can I get you to initial those, or someone? Share the love on that one.
So you're gonna present us with the preliminary budget. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is it balanced now, we don't have to come in next week, go with it.
Nice.
Yeah, well, you can say that, but I probably don't make plans.
That makes you feel good, go ahead, but.
I get it.
I didn't realize we were paying Clint. Why are we paying Clint?
We need to
It's
pay
a new-
Clint more, so
it's-
I'm going with that because he's the legal guy. If I get in a bind, that's who I'm calling.
And I never hear you tell us we need to pay somebody less. What's that all about?
Because
I looked
they
at
know
it.
where I live and I'm
Yeah,
close
that's
by. And for the record, I think Vernon is down at Road and Bridge right now, but as soon, or if he's back, that's fine. As soon as I present it to you, I will have him put it up on the website, so that people can pull it up, make copies, do whatever they choose. They don't have to come in and camera.
And so what, I'm just stalling for time here, what do we need to do today, policy-wise, procedure-wise? You're just gonna present that to us?
You say
You don't
thank you
expect
very
us to
much
go
for
through
Thank
all
you,
the
Donna,
hard
for your
work.
hard work, excellent presentation, and your patience.
You don't expect us to go through it today, is
Nope,
that
yep,
what I'm
nope,
getting at?
yep, correct. But I've given you all some paperwork so that you knew why people were asking what they did, so you can peruse and if, something,
Great.
sticks out for you, or if not, just go on the fly when each hearing comes in.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's good. Big old document represents a lot of work, doesn't it?
Thank
There
you.
you go.
Thanks.
Yeah,
And it is also
appreciate that.
available in the clerk's office by statute that it's in.
Okay, so a couple questions.
Okay,
CTF,
okay,
some of that is dealt with, I wanna say in arrears, right? And we don't have that money yet. All of it, they pay by the quarter.
we have a fund balance right now, so we're
Right,
okay, but
right,
if we
but I'm
were to
just saying-
spend it down all the way, we would have to wait for
Right.
first, second, third, or
Yeah.
fourth quarter payment before we could pay out, if we had spent it all or spending more.
Okay. So on an account like CTF, on any given day, how would we know what that fund balance is? It's not in this document.
It is not, that is only the 2018 actuals, the 2019 estimates, and the 2020 requests. The balance sheets, I have the balance sheets for where we were year to date in my office.
Right. Which, I looked at those, but I'm just saying it's not included in
It
this
is not.
document.
And on CTF, if you look at their kind of the budget overview page, it'll show, what the ending fund balance, the beginning fund balance for 20, and that, of course, that's an estimate on 2019's expenditures. If
Right.
someone did not,
If we
or
don't
if you
know that,
approved
yeah.
more, if you approved more, out of cycle, so all of that could, it is absolutely preliminary. And then the actuals are never known until almost the end of January.
Yeah.
And then it's accrual, so it's always a month behind, so, man, it's like a barrel.
Did a lot of work, thank you.
Can we talk about Emergency Services Fund?
Okay.
We're down to $43,000 in there. Virginia came in and talked to me about it this morning. And I said, without beating around the bush, why are you, Virginia, concerned that we're at 43,000? She said, because probably 5 or 6 years ago that was 300,000. I said, well, how do we, one, if there is bleeding, how do we stop that? What's the issue? Why have we seen that rapid decline? We've done one transfer, I think, since I've
And we
been
haven't
on
done
there.
it yet, I've been holding off to do it to see, in the
But I
budget,
thought
we
last
put,
year we did one.
we had not,
Oh.
we put 30,000 to transfer if we could, because we would have been in a, but the
But we never
spending's
did it.
gone.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping maybe it can be maybe 10 or 20.
I need to be caught up to speed on what we're referring to.
Okay.
Sorry.
If you'll pull up this, that's okay, no, I'm sorry. If you'll look at this well, we haven't done it yet, but
Virginia's
Virginia
report.
gave us this document. If you look under emergency services, which is almost halfway down the line, right after the school, we expended $26,469. So we went from 64,000 down to 43,000.
Alright, I got it here.
And it just seems to me that since I've been a commissioner, certainly Virginia's been concerned about the trend of emergencies. We talked about it. What do we do about that? Do we need to panic about it? Are we gonna?
I believe it will stop. What initially, far back as Dick Downey, being on the board, they would never approve an extra dispatcher. They always had kind of a floating person who filled in when they needed. As time went on, the commissioners did approve an extra person, so that was usually anywhere from 30 to 45,000, depending on their benefits. And then we went to the CAD system, and then the expansion. I mean, it's just been a flow.
Is this equipment or it's not people? Or is
It's been all of those.
Is it?
Upgrade, it's just been all of it, the upgrades.
So where does the revenue come from on emergency services? E911 money?
No. E911 money is a separate component.
General fund or something?
And, the emergency service fund is a 2% mill levy, and then there's the SO tax. When the EM was moved over there, the thought would be that we would be using the SO tax money would pay the overage on theirs that would have been dispatch money. You know, the 2% said that it was for dispatch services. But there's SO tax and then at the beginning, the EM was probably 80% covered, and a lot of that is covered. But it's just been spending on that.
Well, who's
fund.
accountable for it? I mean, us, I mean,
Well, it's
who's
made
managing
up of,
it? It's several, right?
OEM's part of it.
Mhm.
Dispatch.
The dispatch, which who knows what that's gonna look like now.
And part of the sheriff.
Any
so-
search and rescue out of that?
So it's just dispatch and OEM?
But I believe that, you know, based on some of, the sheriff's estimates, that it will go down and that fund will be able to recover a little bit.
Okay, well, I just think something we ought to keep an eye on, and certainly Virginia's concerned about it.
But that $30,000 transfer that I put in at the very, very end, that was the only way that we could balance that fund. It did not have enough last year.
Right.
And so it's actually recouped a little, even with that. So I think it's on a good trend.
Okay, thank you.
But I was just trying to hold as long as I could not to spend general fund.
Yeah.
You know, if it could go with 10 instead of 30, I would be on board. More than. But I have a note to Kelly for a transfer, just trying to see how. And once the budget hearings are over and we see what the final numbers are, then that'll give me a better.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. I know that was a little off the rails there, but.
But I had been thinking about it,
yeah.
so that's.
Anything else?
No.
Whew.
Thanks, Don.
So, obviously the 14th's a holiday. We will not be work on that Monday, so we'll dive into it on the 15th. Thank you for sending out that schedule. I had a couple people ask me prior to that, hey, when are we?
And the only thing on the schedule, you know, I do give people permission to swap around as long as they're you know, you can't shift my spot with the sheriff's, you know, that's 3 hours compared to 10 seconds. But that they do, so sometimes it is not the absolute until the very, very end, so
We
just.
understand.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter, I don't think, to us, in what order we happen to hear
No.
No.
the budget concerns, so.
I'm fine.
And then
I'm
on the
flexible.
last day, I have at the end more of like commissioners and mine and insurance, whereas if someone is a lot faster, we could take care of one in between, you know, like the insurance fund
Sure.
is 2 bills or something to cut your last day, kind of have it be a little
What's the
shorter.
date of that email?
I saved it to my desktop, so
So
I
did you
need to
never,
look.
no, I have it, I'm sure. I remember looking at it, but I didn't save it. I should have printed it right then, but I didn't. I'll find it, it's no problem. It came from you.
Well, and then I might have named this one, but I'm not very good at that, and I do know that I don't read.
Oh, I
have
see,
saved them
it's
with a
named,
name.
it's named Billy Bob, I see.
Yeah,
Well,
budget
it's like
hearings.
DOC 555-922 or whatever my scan file calls it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not laying my,
And I can
It's no
resend
big
it if you
deal.
would
I know I
like.
have it. I've never seen it, though. It's no big deal.
Jay, I've got it, I'll send it to you right now.
You are so nice.
it's just frustrating when you go to look for something real quick.
And I don't have it.
Kind of go,
Going, which one of those 500?
and I imagine I deleted it because I saved the document to my desktop, so I probably don't have it.
I have
Is it just
I
a
just got
schedule?
it.
What did you say?
Emails,
The schedule.
I have it, Miss Kara,
You got it?
with a K, I got it.
What day?
It was,
Oh, I spelled her name wrong here. Let me get that
it
K
was
on
on
here.
the 25th.
On the what?
Fifth.
I don't know that.
September 25th.
I don't know.
Ah, yes, here it is.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you for, I
Of course.
appreciate it. Very helpful. And I love it the day before our meetings, you have it again for us, the final one. Cause I sometimes,
Okay, anything else, ma'am?
Nope, that's
All right,
it.
thank you.
All right, thank
wonderful.
you.
You will talk to Vernon, or do we need to do that?
I will, I'll just, yeah, I told him it was there.
Okay.
Thanks. I'll shake your
On
hand.
there we go. Thanks.
All right.
Let me see.
Ma'am, sorry. Ms. Weber, could you tolerate about a 4-minute break?
I'm on, okay, good.
Okay. Yes,
All right,
yeah, that's fine.
so without objection, gentlemen, we'll be in recess for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Good.
Yes, so she's gonna get, Vernon
Center roll, got my blood sugar level up, I can tell you.
Yes, yes. You're exactly right.
I'm gonna have to talk to this attorney, this is ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
well, if someone built the table, they promised
I
we
know.
wouldn't have this problem.
Well, it's getting higher up on the list all the time. We just can't let it get shoved in behind the VHS wall too far.
This printer is.
Well, I've been good the whole time.
Oh,
I
nice.
hit pause, but
Didn't
didn't
pause.
pause.
Reconvening Board of County Commissioners meeting, time is 10:43. The next item on our staff report agenda is the extension report. Ms. Guinevere, good morning.
Hey guys,
Welcome.
What do you say?
look at it, sorry, Jay, just
I'll do it
Clint
again.
first. Sorry.
How are you?
How are you? Good to see you. Things good in your world?
Yes, just always, you would think that there would be some downtime, but they're
Hmm. Well, great report. I
Oh,
was
good.
tickled when I read that. Oh my gosh.
yeah, lots going on.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited about the truck raffle results. We haven't gotten the final tally.
Is that statewide?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Somebody from Wetmore won it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it wasn't unfortunately our ticket, because look at the numbers, but it came from Custer County,
Yeah.
so we'll take that as a
So a
win.
non-Custer County person sold her the ticket?
Mhm.
Oh, interesting.
We guess it was Fremont, but
Yeah.
that's all right. We'll take that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Good.
So yeah, we're just kind of looking for funding, all kinds of things. Working on that, still working on evaluations, planning for the award celebration. Did you guys get those
Right.
invitations?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We got our SVP because the cattle women are making us some food, and
When is it?
the 20th of October. Not at the church, at the school at noon.
So I have a question.
Yes,
So
sir.
if you bought something that didn't do what it was supposed to do,
Mhm.
you would want a refund, right?
Yeah,
I have 20 raffle tickets.
I knew.
Me too.
Never mind.
You bring up a great point. I thought,
You thought you were gonna get a winner? Shelley?
you're the one that fleeced us out of that
Yeah,
money
I
in
did.
this very room, so I
Um,
appreciate you bringing that up.
It is on the record, but it also is a fundraiser.
Oh.
Half of that money comes back to Custer County for it.
So without any guarantees too,
Yes.
right? You said 12 o'clock
You
noon,
guys generously supported.
What's it called?
4-H.
the 4-H award.
4-H award
Yeah.
banquet on Sunday noon.
There is a Broncos game, which
I
is in
know.
conflict. Thank you, Kelly.
Nobody cares anymore.
They're out,
Yeah.
so everybody's off the bandwagon.
That's not as big a deal this year. Right.
I was warned about that, and I was
The
like,
Denver
"Oh."
Broncos.
Uh-oh.
So it is 12 o'clock and not
Yes.
1.
Yeah.
Is that tour of Wolf Springs Ranch just for you?
It has been, my boss's boss invited me, so,
Okay.
I-
It's just for extension.
Yeah, that's
You're
as
an
far as
invitee as well, huh?
Yes, yes,
Wow,
so,
nice.
I know. I
Good.
think it's mostly in Huerfano County, but I'll take the invitation. I guess.
This one specifically is for the Navajo Ranch, but if the commissioners and yourself or whoever would be interested in going down to Lot 6, I just happened to talk to the ranch manager today. He said he'd love to have us come down and look.
That'd be fine.
But that's not addressing the Navajo, which is what she's
No,
talking
I'm just
about.
curious.
I'm sure
Yeah.
they would do
How
that.
many
talking
acres,
about
do you
six
do you
and
know how many acres they got at
Yeah.
Wolf Springs?
What's his
I
name?
was reading an article online about it, but I cannot recall.
He's a classmate of yours, isn't he?
Lowell Inman, but that's on 6, yeah, you gotta
What's the
talk
name of the
about.
ranch?
Lot 6 is the Huerfano side, basically. The Navajo, the northern,
Redman's place?
yeah. Not really even half. Everybody says, well, the northern half, and that's not actually
No.
correct, but close enough. So, yeah, that should be fun to go down there and
Yeah.
scope that out. If, I've talked to their, I can't remember what his title was, the Navajo Nation down in Window Rock, but if you can get a name or something of a good contact person or people, that would be fun, cause I've just talked to them once. Also wanted to throw out this, Canada thistle rust fungus, and that would be a huge, cool thing to do with that ag program.
Yeah, okay, cause it's still
Especially
sitting
going-
upstairs. We just need a 60-degree or less day to apply it. And then the greatest thing is that you can,
Harvest it again,
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I thought about this kid, that was
Yeah,
super
right?
full of students.
And, some people get worried, but it is like naturally occurring with the plant, so
Right.
only attacks that plant. I just wanted to make sure people knew that, and they've studied it at the extent, insectary in Paonia, like extensively for the last, I don't know how many years, so there's no worry about that, but I had a good conversation with Karen Rosen, who runs it, and she, is just really thrilled. You have to encourage it to spread, otherwise it'll kind of keep the Canada thistle alive, because it also wants to stay alive.
Yeah,
but,
it's a host plant, doesn't it?
yeah, but, yeah, I just called her because we've had a couple people in our office asking about an alternative to spraying
Right.
Canada thistle. I think that's, some of the people in the community really don't want to spray herbicide, so it's nice to have an alternative for them.
I've never dealt with this rust fungus, to harvest. You go out, scrape it off the plant into a container, and then just take that container and shake it out on the unaffected area that you haven't treated and not treated area.
Yeah, there's a certain timing, I think it's in the fall, and then these orange spores appear on the plant, and then you take that off and you can just like essentially grind the whole plant, and that's how you transport it and move it from plant to plant, so.
Cool. Yeah, so if you get a chance to reach out to Kyle for their JAG program, I think that would be cool. Be a cool thing for a 4-H member to take on as a science project or whatever too, you know.
Yeah.
I just heard Kyle's name and I thought you were wanting me to say something to Kyle, and I thought, I wasn't ready to.
So the $2,200 from Mule Deer Foundation.
Sorry, were you gonna
No,
continue?
no,
Okay.
I was gonna ask you, what's the grand plan? I see the grand plan is shooting sports, but a little more specifically, anything?
So we weren't awarded our full ask, so I was waiting for direction from them on how to split that up. But essentially, they're way more excited about developing this conservation program, so like getting kids out fishing, talking about wildlife ecology and, aquatic ecology, all of those things, just to develop, future sportsmen, who actually preserve conservation or support conservation in Colorado through hunting licenses and fishing licenses. So that's kind of that life cycle. So what we have talked about is working with Justin Kroll, gentleman Marty.
Yeah, Holmes, yeah. I was gonna say Gallon, but that's underfunded court, sorry. Yeah, Marty Holmes,
Other one.
yeah.
He really wants to
Wetmore.
come up and talk to those kids. And 4-H has, they have entomology and like sport fishing and then wildlife. So really trying to build up those projects and have this program support that, but also be offered to a wide range of just interested kids is where we were thinking.
Any movement with Friends of the NRA?
We've had kind of some of our, we had people who were a voice of 4-H on that board, and that relationship has changed, so nobody from 4-H now sits on that board, so I think that will help, kind of alleviate that. And like I said, I can come talk to you at the beginning of the year, tell you how many kids we have enrolled, kinds of stuff. Just really trying to make sure that they know that I'm the person to communicate with, nobody else, so that's kind of that movement there.
I've not spoken to anybody about trap range
Okay,
plan, so it just got shuffled down the deck, but,
yeah,
still.
we got time.
Yeah, so, okay. Questions, gentlemen?
Nope, looks good, thanks.
Yeah, I would be interested to hear the financial results of the raffle.
Yeah, what we estimated was around $4,000. Half of that would come back to us, but we'll let the big guys make sure that they're in agreement before we announce that.
Yeah, I thought one of the nice things about that raffle is for a vehicle, they want $25 a ticket, that's, everybody can play in that game, so. And then I read your notes about the Duckett Ranch. I've been up to that experimental plot. I sprayed Esplanade all around that plot,
Oh, yeah?
so I haven't been back this year, but, have you been up there to look at that at all, or?
Yeah, we went out there with Dave Huber and looked around, but they had pulled all the pins, so we were just guessing where those plots were. But Shannon, this PhD graduate student, she and I have been in contact, and they find that it's really good at control at higher elevations, which was what her PhD was looking at. And then looking at the rebound of native plants after the cheatgrass is gone. And then Jeremiah Hansen, who sprays, he also did some testing on his tank mix, which has like Tellar, Milestone, and a couple other things in it. How
That's
that
what I was doing.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah,
So,
yeah,
be interesting to see.
yeah.
Did he bring in an invoice for you?
He did, I forgot it upstairs.
That's all right. That'll go to Daryl, so I'll get you.
I just need a mailing address on there and that's it.
See if I got it real quick. Anything else for us while I'm looking that up? I'll get it for you. I don't have my phone. You don't need a signature or anything on that documentation?
No, we submit it for reimbursement. I make sure that the appropriate weeds are on there and then we go following the guidelines.
You have any plans of going to the Upper Arkansas Weed Management Annual Meeting?
When is that again?
That is November, I wanna say 20th, but that registration is open. Did I get you on the,
Yeah.
okay, alright, then we're good.
Yeah. I would like to go.
Yeah, I'd like to see a good contingent, 14th, Thursday, 8:30 to 3. I thought I'd put you on that email list, so, okay. Alright, man, appreciate it, thank you. Press on.
I will. Alright. 3 times in one day.
Wow.
You check your pockets.
Still there. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning. How are you? Good.
Number one.
There you go.
Okay. Well, we had a little discussion about emergency services. Doesn't mean I got my mind wrapped around it 100%, but
I did.
I think we'll transfer some money in there probably before the end of the year.
That's what Don said.
Try to learn something every month. Don't always be successful at it. So the sanitation district.
You're welcome.
Has nothing to do with household refuse, strictly Round Mountain water and sanitation.
Round Mountain.
It doesn't have anything to do with any of the trash companies, nothing to do with the landfill, it's strictly Round Mountain. We collect a tax for them, and then in turn,
What we collected.
all of it. You don't get paid to do that.
Get our percentage from treasurer's fee. All of the entities is that way.
Okay. Is it a flat percentage across the board, or do they
Depends
change?
what it is. School, you want to charge them a quarter. I can bring you a treasurer's fee, pocket if you want, so you know what they are.
Not that I don't believe in the system, I just don't know the system, is the reason I'm asking, so, yeah, I'd be interested. And so traffic fines, we get, if state patrol writes a traffic violation ticket in our county,
We don't get any state.
but we got a chunk of that.
Not state patrol, we get, what the sheriff's office writes.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. I learned learned something else that I thought I already knew, so.
Who handles our investments?
I do.
And
All of
those,
it.
are they on CDs basically?
No, it's, CD, it's not liquid money, and I'm not always having to, especially at this time of year, access it. So, no, it's an investment pool, Call Trust. There's C-Safe and there's Call Trust. Doris invested in Call Trust a long time ago, and that's what I always stayed with. Questioned John about it, he said, no, but just leave it there, it's good place.
And then affordable housing. I'm assuming that $40,000 from that year went into this.
Mhm.
So they had $7,000 before that.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there a revenue stream for them?
Nothing I am aware of.
Gentlemen, any questions?
Just a quick one. Road and Bridge,
Mhm.
beginning balance was 2,069,000, whatever it was, and ending balance was 256, pretty good month for them. Was that part of their windfall? And,
386,000.
Pretty good deal. And there's 2 million left, are they, where did they stand sort of in the last quarter last year, about the same? Did they run
I
their ball line,
couldn't
you know?
tell you, I'd have to go back and look.
I'm just curious, 2 million this time of year is pretty big.
Yeah, last year they got that windfall too.
I know they did.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if they had around 2 million then or not.
I'll look for you.
I'd be curious, 'cause we got roads that need some work that we wanna spend as much as what they got available as we can without going down. Thanks.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm embarrassed to ask this because I've asked it at least twice before. What is redemptions, please?
That's, we go to taxing sale and we sell liens against properties.
I
And then
remember
when
now.
people, pay it off, that's a
They
redemption.
redeem it, I got it, I'm sorry, I
Get
didn't
it back.
remember.
Yeah.
I've asked before. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, for a person who lives in this world, we beg your indulgence because we see it 12 times a year, so it's like, I don't remember this. Yeah.
I'll go ahead and I'll move that we approve the treasury report for September 2019.
I'll second the motion. It's moved and seconded to approve the treasurer's report. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. What would we ever do if we didn't approve it? Oh my gosh, would that change your life?
Same.
Yeah, would
Nothing.
cha-
Yeah, it
would
make no
change your
difference,
world
no.
anyway.
That's what we do, we shift the burden from you to us by approving it. If not, we go, oh no, that's what the treasurer did. Now we could say the commissioners.
It's their fault.
That's what it's for.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your work. Okay, I think that concludes our staff report.
No,
Okay, okay, good.
but I'm on the agenda.
Okay, all right. Unfinished business, gentlemen?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. First item is, discussion about the courthouse Christmas party. Thank goodness we still call it a Christmas party. The change, I'm not gonna be very happy about that.
I think we should name it Easter party.
How are you, sir?
Good, how you
I'm
doing?
good. Can I ask you an unrelated quick question?
Sure.
Save you walking upstairs, I
Okay,
guess.
sure.
We're trying to address a vehicle situation with DHS.
Okay,
Those ladies are using their private vehicles, of course they're getting reimbursed, but, you don't have to answer this, but at some point I was wondering if there was a chance we could tag team your vehicle.
is it leaving the county, is it
Yeah.
staying around?
Leaving the county.
Who pays for tires, who pays for gas, who pays for maintenance?
Well, none of that probably would change, county does.
Well, yeah, but it comes out of my budget.
Got it, got it. Yeah.
So
Good point.
Jackie use your
Haven't thought about,
vehicle?
no, she has
Jackie
her
has
own.
her own vehicle.
She needs
And I-
brakes.
I
Yeah.
thought about
Yeah,
her, talking to her as well.
yeah.
but I don't know, I just,
Is it for meetings or what's it for?
well, a lot of times they transport
Yeah.
youth, family
Yeah.
members, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, I suppose, we've got stuff in there that we'd have to take out every
Gotcha.
time.
Good.
But
Well, I'm not,
it's you guys' vehicles.
I'm not pressing you, here's where
Yeah.
my thought process went. And I'm not trying to single you out of the herd, but
Right.
you were here.
Yeah,
We've got 2 county vehicles, they
Right.
don't get used every day.
right.
Would there be a possibility to tag team that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Could be,
I would.
I know there used to be, I don't know, we used to have a vehicle down at Road and Bridge that people were supposed to sign up and take out. I don't know if it ever,
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
oh, that was years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My thought
I don't know if
was
that ever
driving
went away
that
or
was
what.
if the county was gonna stand some liability in case something
Yeah.
went wrong with the vehicle, I'd rather stand that on a county vehicle than a private
Right.
vehicle because brakes, transmission,
see, we have the
tires.
same issue, like if I go to a conference, I don't take the county vehicle because if I do,
Then it's not
then
here.
they can't go out and look at stuff.
Yeah.
But if I get into a wreck on the way to a conference, I don't know. I mean, we've always had that issue.
Yeah.
We've talked about it with prior boards of commissioners about getting a vehicle, and like I said, there once upon a time there was a 4-door
Yeah.
sedan down there. But part of the problem was, you guys would sign up to take to a conference, and I'd have a conference the same week, and Laura would wanna take kids that week, and it got to be a real scheduling problem. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it'd be a problem if we knew about it ahead of time,
Yeah.
so we could make sure.
Yeah.
But like I say, I don't necessarily wanna pay for all the tires and
Sure.
gas and stuff out of my
Understood that.
budget, yeah.
Yeah, kind of that county vehicle pool of one.
Yeah,
Right now, we've got another vehicle that came offline in the sheriff's office. It's relatively high mileage, but
yeah,
that's another consideration. Say, well, do we want them transporting families in a vehicle that's got 200,000 miles?
yeah, right, exactly.
I don't know, maybe I overreact in this area a little bit, but,
I don't know, it's probably something good to look into.
I never
Like
really
said, there
thought
was-
about the implication on your budget,
Yeah.
about that vehicle, so maybe it would be something we could look at, again, just thinking out loud.
Yeah,
and say,
exactly.
okay,
And like I said, there was talk with prior boards about leasing a vehicle to use for that kind of stuff. Never went anywhere. I don't know.
all right, well.
So I guess what I'm saying is this isn't the first time this has come up, but nobody's ever come up with a solution, so
All right,
probably not something, it's a good idea to check into it,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah, thank you.
Cause
Sorry
it's
to-
been an ongoing thing. Oh, no problem. What I'm here for is, the Christmas party. We typically close for 2 hours, and we're looking at, after talking with a bunch of people, we're looking at probably Wednesday, December 18th.
Okay.
We have
We have a
a BOC.
Yeah, right,
that day.
right. We would be closing from 12 to 2. That's part of the reason we picked that. There's several reasons we picked that day, but one of them was we thought, okay, you guys would be having a meeting, you could just come up if you want.
Right.
I think you came last year. I think Jay was in
Would you
state
lay out
last year or something.
general plan of what your thoughts are for this year?
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but, well, we usually close from 12 to 2. And the other thing I wanted to ask was, last year you guys kicked in up to $350. I was going to do that again. We're talking about, we don't have anything set in concrete at this point, but we're talking about just going to Tony's again because of the space works real well, setting up a menu with them. The employees would pay $5 each, and then if, we don't bring a lot of guests, but if a guest came, somebody would have to pay full price for that guest. It would not be, the $350 helps offset the cost to the employees. And then, I don't know, I'm just down here asking for that, and I'm helping with the food. I don't know what they're gonna do other than that, but it would be going to Tony's. Doubt we would need the full 2 hours. If we don't, we'll come back, we'll open up early. So we used to need the full 2 hours because of doing dishes and all that. Last year, what did we do, call an hour?
About an hour and a half.
Half, yeah.
Essentially,
And then we came back, so.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
basically, that's what I'm looking at. Just wondering if that day and time works for you guys, and the $350 works, and if we can just proceed. Because we don't wanna start making plans until we know
Right.
that all works. But that day, we checked with the court, that day works with court.
I would actually move on that for a vote.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, well, one of his speakers.
I understand,
So-
I understand.
And I
He
was
didn't
gonna
just
say,
walk out.
before we,
I understood.
before we make that motion, do we wanna put the wording in there, tentative date, because we don't
Sure,
know that date,
sure,
right?
yeah, that's what we're trying to do, but you can put
Cause
tentative, that'd be a good idea.
if we made the motion to have it on that day, and then we couldn't get into the restaurant, then we
Right,
have.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that we would approve expenditures from the general fund of up to $350 for the Christmas party, generally so for,
For the
December
end of the day,
18th.
yeah.
And we authorize closing the courthouse for
Yeah.
the
that
2-hour
would be-
period or whatever day that is. So I think all that could go into one motion.
And really, the paramount thing there is close the courthouse.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And we
Well,
call it the courthouse Christmas party, but we invite the court, of course, but we usually invite, veterans officer and, county health.
yeah,
I
public
think-
health.
Public, thank you. I knew it wasn't county, wasn't the right word, but my brain is this big anymore. Public health, Meredith,
Yeah.
emergency services, we invite all them, so.
Okay.
But not the county attorney.
No, county attorney.
Yeah, he just shows up.
If he comes, he's gotta pay his own way.
Yeah, well, he's gotta pay his way plus some other, cause he's an attorney after all.
That's right, yeah. So, group's pleasure?
I move that we authorize expenditures from the general fund of up to $350 to supplement the cost of a Christmas party for the courthouse employees and guests. That we close the courthouse for 2 hours between 12 and 2. On the date that's finalized, the tentative date for that would be December 18th.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the expenditure of up to $350 for the courthouse Christmas party, and to close the courthouse from the hours of 12 noon until 2 p.m. on the tentative date of December 8th. Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Go forth and have jolly times.
Thank you, that's all I got.
Yeah.
We'll let you know for sure, we'll get an email out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Carol,
think
you can hand me some
I'll
of
be
that card.
interested to see.
the county attorney has to come dressed as Santa.
Okay, yeah.
Santa or
That
Grinch,
works.
either one.
I've done that.
You're
before,
welcome.
but-
All right, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Gareth.
Oh, of course, yes.
We have 2 cents for that.
Okay, all right. No, let's go ahead with, okay. So our next item is consideration of the scholarship matching fund. Mr. Troy, welcome.
Yeah.
Nice to see
Good to
you.
see you guys, thanks for letting me
Well, thank you
come
for
and
taking
take.
time.
You're looking sharp today,
Well, you
Coach.
guys look good.
Kinda digging that shirt,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah, yeah.
Sort of,
Oh,
He doesn't know me.
because
I do know you, I've seen you, yes,
Clint
yes, yes.
Smith,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
Troy
Clint.
So I
Baumgartner.
missed the football game, but I got no.
No, you're not sorry.
I know.
Thank you, ma'am, I appreciate that.
Actually, I'm glad that from that.
Right.
Well, welcome.
Do I sit here to chat?
Yes, you
Is that
may,
okay?
certainly.
Oh,
Thanks
for
you have an
letting me
extra
come.
paper.
Yes, I do.
Miss Kelly, do you know her? Kelly Camper,
Okay, sure,
she's our
exactly.
board clerk, and then, of course, the camp
Campers are a
clerk.
new family.
Yeah, exactly.
They're clannish, but they just moved in.
Last spring, Commissioner Flowers contacted me about an opportunity that kind of came across his desk, I think. And I followed up on it and discovered a pretty neat little opportunity that the state is doing a matching scholarship. It's called the Colorado Opportunity Scholarship Initiative, COSI or COSI. Basically, they will provide a grant, and then you gotta find a match for it. And most of the states, kind of the counties, help with the match. We can also go for some other funding sources. Last year we had I think like $2,400 and $45. $2,445 was our match. So we were able to award close to a $5,000 scholarship. It is need-based scholarship. You have to qualify, but the parameters are not real strict. It's up to, I believe, 250% of Pell eligibility. So that's gonna meet most of our kids in our district. They're gonna fall in that. Requirements, you do have to attend the Colorado State University, okay? This past year.
May I interrupt?
Yeah.
When you say Colorado State University, you do not mean CSU,
No,
you mean an
no,
university
state
within the
uni-
college.
Yeah, any in the state system. Last year what we did, and we got in late in the game, and the state was really good to work with, and I just attended a conference as part of the requirement for getting the grant. Learned a little bit more about it, but they hooked us up with some of the area colleges kind of get involved in this too, because they want students, and so sometimes they'll step into the pool of matching the scholarship, and that's what we did last year. My understanding is that's not a every year, every student thing, okay? We were one of the last counties in the state to get on board with this, and I just found out about it last year. So the state was very excited about us getting involved, and I think that's part of the reason why CSU Pueblo said, hey, we'll match it. Okay, and we have one of our students over there that received a scholarship. Good news is, because of our free and reduced lunch rate is going up, which is not good news necessarily, but our scholarship went up this year. The match is now up to $3,500 from the state. We're talking, if we can get the $3,500 match, we're talking $7,000 in college funds for one of our students, or two of our students. That's right.
Can you talk
And
to
my
us about
plan
that?
is I do two students, $3,500 for two students, which again is a pretty big chunk. I mean, if you plan to go to a lot of our students are going to go to UCCS. Some will go to junior college, some will go to CSU, but any of those institutions, and that's a pretty good dent.
CSU Pueblo.
Pretty good dent in it. So, my purpose of being here is just seeing, hey, with the county, my understanding is, a lot of the counties take part in the scholarship match. And I know that's still a big chunk of money, but just presenting that, I don't know if we'll get a match from a college next year. You know, I'm way ahead of the game this year. The application is not due until February. But I wanted to get it on your table as you're looking at funds, and I don't know when your budget year rolls over and all that stuff, but
Calendar year.
yeah, okay. So it could if you had money left over this year, I don't know how that would work, if you said I just don't know.
Yeah, I kind of support this. I did pass this off to Troy last year because I thought it was a little more appropriate out of his office than ours. It didn't necessarily mean I didn't support it, the idea of this piece. We have not, since I've been a commissioner that I'm aware of, gotten too heavily involved in the scholarship thing, but I don't think we've had anybody ask us directly either, so,
I can tell you from the state's perspective, because I kind of asked and they gave some statistics. The state is in a shortfall of qualified workers. Right now, the percentage is statewide, 52% of adults have some type of certificate or degree. And the goal is to get that to, I think, 66%, so, 2/3 of adults would have some sort of, and so that's kind of where this push is coming from. I did ask, how committed is the state in this, and, I think they've said there's a 5-year commitment right now, but they say we don't see this going away. Again, to make up that shortfall of qualified workers, in-state workers, and that's a push for sending kids to in-state colleges. They're more likely to stay here if they go to an in-state school. So that's the push.
Got a quick question.
Yeah.
Just a synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking for a total grant or
Match.
scholarship match, but
Mm-hmm.
the total program is half and half, 50-50.
Right.
State's got 50, so it's
Yep.
7,000 and then another 7, or is it
35
3,500?
each.
35 each, right?
Yes.
Of the 35 that you're looking for people to donate to,
Yes.
who are you looking at besides the county?
You know, I obviously come to you guys first, but I have thought that through, Rotary. Our teachers do a faculty staff scholarship, we have a piece out of our paycheck that goes to kind of a scholarship fund. I thought about that. The difficulty with that one is that's being a merit-based scholarship, not a need-based.
Right. And
I thought about some other businesses in town. You know, I'm fairly confident I can raise the $3,500. I would like to see the county do a significant portion. I don't think, I'm not really here to say I want, you know, you're my only card. But I'd like some from the county.
and if we, okay, got it.
Mhm.
And then you're not due to turn it in until February. And
Well, that's the application.
So-
Funds really aren't due until, like next summer.
really, so
I just have to have my plan in place, and here's my commitments, here's the, I mean, I believe the match has to come from I think it may have to be a profit corporation, so that might take out some business, you know, into a business. I have to check into that, but I think it is.
the last question I had on that is, you said needs-based, but they gotta have some academic capability, so there must be a,
Well,
some,
and
you just can't send anybody that wants to
exactly.
go down.
I think that's why would fall on my shoulders. The student that we awarded this year is a senior, the CSU Pueblo. You know, he's in there, he's on track to graduate. We'll be careful with the monies, you know. Now, saying that, there is no guarantee. You have to hopefully in education long enough. Going to college is a big step. And sometimes the kids we think will succeed don't, and the ones we don't think will succeed do. But we will have a component, you know, that we're awarding a student that we feel is going to be successful.
Yeah, I like the needs-based thing. There's bazillion scholarships towards,
Right.
The intellect
The
side.
high, yeah, exactly.
But, boy, they're taking a kid that may not qualify, that could be very successful.
And the good news about this one, again, is that the need base is not so tight, that we're only looking at a kid that's extremely needy, which unfortunately sometimes those kids are the ones that are the toughest to succeed. We have a little bigger pot to choose from, so we find a kid that, hey, has a chance to make it with this money.
Well, I'll move that we commit $1,750 towards this matching scholarship. COSI initiative out of our community outreach fund.
Well, let me second it first.
Okay.
And then we ask that question.
So it's been moved and seconded to fund $1,750 towards the COSI initiative scholarship program. Discussion. I can't tell you exactly.
It's like 20K.
Well, it's a little less than that. I think we're around 17.
Yeah, something.
Maybe
We have to
60.
spend more than we have in the budget.
$16,000.
So we had 1,700.
Nearly,
Well,
nearly
it's like 16,
Another
down.
zero, another zero.
Sorry, yeah, I had another zero. Yeah, and that's why I picked that fund, because we've been pretty hawkish about spending that money, but I think if
Can
that's not
you,
community outreach, I don't know what would be.
So if we do that, when does he get a check? So that matters. When can you handle the money?
Exactly. I'll ask these folks kinda, I think there's a chance you could have some flexibility in your budget, to pass it on to us, and it sits in our account until May or June. So if you do wanna do it in December, you know, that
We
makes sense.
would have to probably do it.
It has to be done this year.
Yeah.
It has to be done
I was
by
gonna say, I
mid-month,
really wanted to-
December.
in this calendar year. And
Because
then
we know where
give
we're
you the
at.
funds, and then you can spend it out when you
Yeah,
see it's appropriate.
let me check on that, and one thing I was gonna say that I think would be a neat deal is, at our scholarship night, this would be a kind of a big deal, this would be one of our bigger local scholarships, and have one of you there to help in that presentation.
The other thing I like nice about taking action now, I think that's gonna give Troy the opportunity to leverage that dollar amount. And say, hey, I've already got this,
Exactly.
all I need is this, I don't need,
Yeah.
which I think is important when you go to
Mhm.
asking for scholarship. I
Right.
have been down that road.
Mm.
Some people don't wanna be the first to chip in.
Right, right.
So we would be, on the matching funds, we'd be 50% of the matching fund, and then the onus would be on you to collect the other 1,700 for the other half of the match.
Right.
And the state matches the rest of it.
Right, and I'm fairly certain.
Totally reasonable.
If for some reason, I just can't get the other 1750,
Come talk to us.
well, I'll do that, but I do think too, then we have a $3,500 scholarship.
Right.
Which isn't
Could.
bad.
I was gonna
Back
ask
that
if
down,
if
yeah.
it
We
falls
don't
short,
lose the money,
we
we
don't wanna
don't
lose the
lose the
money,
match.
and we don't wanna see it lost.
Right, yeah.
Is this just a one-time thing for 1 year, it's not like a 4-year?
It is a 1 year, there are, we can make it a 4-year, but we don't, some counties have a $50,000 match, so they can do a lot more flexibility. With ours spreading the 37,000 over 4 years isn't bad, but it chips it away to, $1,500 a year type of thing. So we're staying with the 1 year. My guess is next year, cause that's a pretty significant jump, it's, almost half, 40% jump. And my guess is that's tied to our free and reduced lunch numbers, which are going up. So I'm thinking next year's it's gonna be probably a $4,500 match, my guess.
All right, further discussion?
Okay.
The intent of my motion was to disperse that money this year.
Okay, I'll make sure we can do that.
Yeah, so if eventually when you get those wrinkles ironed out, if you could invoice us, if you wanna send that to me, then I can make sure Don understands where we're headed with that, but.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hearing no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of, expending $1,750 towards the COSI scholarship program, say aye. Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Hope that helps, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for
See
coming.
you later.
I hope we've honored your time here. You all right?
Yeah, this was worthwhile.
Good.
Wish I made that as a teacher.
Yeah. All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
We ought to think about budgeting it for next year.
Well,
You just wanna use it
I'd
as
say we just do our
community
community outreach, but.
But if it's budgeted, we have more for community outreach if we have that. Just a thought.
So we have some folks here, obviously, from,
Central.
CenturyLink that would like to talk with us, so I'm good with bringing them in and holding off on our prescribed burn resolution, generally by consent.
Agree.
Okay, yeah. Good luck.
Hey, guys.
Worked out good with him, I mean, he hit it right on the money for time, so.
Come on in. You wanna
Good morning,
sit
yeah,
up here?
yeah,
Just
we can grab
that way
another
it's
chair.
informal here. This is Tony Hackensack, or Hasnick, and Duncan, Wayne Duncan.
Thank you.
Good morning, gentlemen, how are you?
Come on, you can't-
Grab that chair and drag it
How are you,
up.
buddy boy? Good to see you again. Thank you. Yeah.
And you're making the rounds. Appreciate you coming in.
Oh, yeah, how are you?
Good, how are
Good,
you?
I'm well, sir.
And just
Steve Wayne.
to set the stage real quick, we all, and you all, you're aware of it, I've been talking to you and Tim a lot, as well as the guys going by my front gate. So the guys are really hitting it hard, and your objective is to drag in the fiber by the end of, before frost, I guess, basically.
Yeah, as quick as we can.
And we had a bunch of citizens concerned about not being able to keep it in the ground, and
Having
in
to
some
come up,
cases, the
yeah.
contractor has made aerial Now, from what I understood from, talking with you, they made that call on their own, based upon not anything more than just thinking there's a lot of rocks there, cause they've been hitting some. And so we did have a discussion with the citizens that are down there, and they're more than willing to work with the right of way that's there, the easement, as well as, even getting easements onto their own private property in order to keep it in the ground. So I asked you to take a look at things, and can you bring us up to speed?
Yeah, so up on, what is it, 264 and Steppen and all that. So when we come off, we do come off Berry, what is that? I think it switches to Steppen, or if it is Steppen the whole way. We come down, and I think we go about, I'd probably say, I think they're about maybe 2,000 feet or so. And then we do go up an aerial, and that whole area, as soon as you start coming up, even the road, I guess there's something that they pay to grade that road because it's a private road.
He was in here as one of the citizens concerned.
And he says it's even going in there, cause to try to grade it, it's just a mess. And so, we did go up on poles around that area, and there's 14 poles is what they did around the corner, and then so the rest of the way, right before it makes a 90, they're gonna bury the rest of that going that way. They said that there are a couple poles that they set, took 2 hours to dig a 5-foot hole just to put a pole in. So, getting the rocks out there, I mean, we probably tear it up more than it would be tearing up the road and everything else, and probably the rocks off to get up through there. I don't know what it would take. It would take us probably, I would say probably 2 weeks just to get through that section of road. So that's why they decided we were gonna go aerial there. They do have the poles in now. Another thing is we look at the cost difference as far as going up there and doing that. I mean, we had the time, and time's one thing, but cost, I mean, it's gonna cost us just to rock salt that area. And we're looking at I think we're looking at 2,200 feet of rock salt that we're gonna have to go up there. It's gonna be almost double what it would be just to place the poles in that. So when I download all this stuff and calculate everything up and I take it back to powers to be above me there, and they make the decision, what we have done, we did it in Trinidad. They look at the situation and say, okay, well, this is serving this many customers, it's gonna cost us this much extra, let's go ahead and abandon that and let's move that money to somewhere else. Not necessarily in Westcliff. We've done it where they went to Buena Vista and seen, okay, we can spend this money here and get this done by the end of the year. So they've done that on a few sites where they went to Buena Vista, went to Salida, and they found sites where they could just turn them up a lot quicker, that they were going to turn up next year, but they brought them in. So I'm afraid that might be an issue there too, taking that, saying it's gonna be, this much more. I don't want them to take that away from there.
Well, did they claim that the Sangre Cristo drug the power line in through that road? Is that did you do a utilities?
I looked, so San Isabel or Sangre de Cristo took a different route. We went up the road, they must have got private easement across properties. And then they stopped where we basically stopped, and then they continued this way where they dropped down a pole, and where we were gonna bury at the end is where they're buried also. So in that part, we were buried with them.
So some of their stuff is aerial out there.
Yeah, our pole will go under theirs. They come across one and then we're just coming underneath theirs.
So I pulled up, and I didn't mean to be rude there and go off task with you, but I pulled up one of the property owners on Steffen Drive. And you're welcome to enlarge or whatever, but Little Horn Road comes around, hits Steffen Drive. This was one of the ladies that were in here yesterday, Janice Miller, her husband, Bob. So are we talking about Steffen Drive itself?
No, we came up here and then we placed from this point here to this point here. So we placed right here.
Yeah, so you're aerial?
From here we're going down underground and we're gonna come up to this point underground. That's as far as we're going.
So you're gonna terminate right there.
Yeah, we're terminating here and we're gonna come underground here And this is where it's aerial.
Poles are right there.
It starts like right
I've been
near
on
the
that
trees
road.
start, and it ends right there.
So,
And this is just.
so where's Sangre coming in?
They come across like right here. And
All
then I think-
underground?
No, aerial,
Aerial.
aerial, yeah, they
So
come
they got-
aerial right here, and then I think,
Do they
They
have
have something
14
that
poles
comes that
going
way.
through that area too?
yeah, they got quite a few poles coming through here. And then I think, they have a line that goes this way and a line that comes this way. And I think they drop down here and then they come up here.
You're down under all the
And
way.
we'll come underground here, but we have poles set here through this part.
And that's
Okay,
all off the
so-
county right away.
Was there a discussion with these landowners or not?
No, and I didn't see any or talk to any. The only ones that I thought might have concern would be these ones right here and here,
Oh, okay,
cause that's where our poles are.
right.
Like
Well,
I
I
said,
think
they're
the
not,
guys that are back here are driving through it.
Can you click on that
Probably.
property right there and see who that comes up? Okay, the one right below it. You'll have to exit out of that first screen, sorry. John Carroll, so that's our VSO guy.
Yeah.
and then he's probably gonna have, he'll have some poles there, but they're right, I believe, right here. I don't know if it's down this property line or if it's up here. I think one would be more up here is where the single
Okay.
line comes in.
And this landowner right there, Sluter, John Sluter, okay.
And this guy here, click on that one.
Yeah.
What was his last name?
Mitchell?
Mitchell.
So, obviously, we had this discussion with them yesterday, that this is in a subdivision, this is not really a county issue. They appreciated us listening to their concerns, and I think one of their legitimate concerns was nobody asked us anything, the next thing we know, they're starting to put up power poles on that road.
Yeah.
They don't have a homeowners association, they really don't have a subdivision association, it's just individual people out there, so.
If that is an easement.
So, I'm assuming, yeah, it's a utility easement along that road.
Yeah, and then each lot itself has like a 15-foot each side, I believe. But I wouldn't.
Did you
You
put
know,
any
you come
poles up on the
around.
county right away before that? In going into that? Before you?
No,
Could be clear.
You haven't yet, right?
no. There's another road somewhere, I don't remember what other road it was. 260, somewhere we put up some poles. Well, we have on here, I think up in that area, I think we have, where we put them up in front of a customer and they didn't want it there. And my CPA, Terry Danielson, went and looked at it and he's like, no, we'll have to rock solid, but it was only, maybe 150
Two
or
poles
something.
worth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which wasn't too big of a deal, but we did move them out of his way. But
But they're still poles.
yeah, I think there's like three poles. I think we had to get over some rocky drainage area or something. So, but
So what's it
here-
look like when you go aerial, how big of a,
Oh, about the size of your pinky.
okay.
Yeah.
It's
Actual
not the lines,
lines.
it's really the poles that
It's
they're concerned.
poles, yeah. And in these trees in here, there's a couple of them where I came through here, I had to actually look for them. They were in the trees, you really couldn't tell, couldn't see them, but, I mean, when you come out here and it opens up a little bit.
Your operations, you're the guy that's running the contracts, what are you doing?
I'm the supervisor for the entire area for the technicians
Oh.
and daily operations with them as far as.
So you help make the
customer
call on
service.
whether you could try to keep it in the ground or not?
No, not so much. I'm just here basically to get an idea of what type of sites we're dealing with up here. This is all, gonna fall under the hands of my technicians once it's all turned up.
Who's the
Kinda
sub
nasty.
on this particular?
Placement poles is Clune, is who they are, Holly's subcontractor.
Right, but there were 3 subcontractors that were plowing in fiber?
Yeah, we had, plowing, I think we had, Holly was doing some of it, Black Diamond,
Right.
and, who was the other?
But it's not really pertinent to which subcontractor was in this area, it was more of the sub to the subcontractor doing the aerial. That's who's doing the work, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were
Yeah, the sub
complimentary
aerial.
to how they handled it, but they were upset with the fact they didn't get talked to.
Yeah, and that's probably,
Well,
On a lot
and
of
probably
my
rudely
volunteers.
so, I mentioned to them that this county said they want broadband, that is progress, and this is probably what progress looks like to some degree.
And you know, and I see that too, you know, when you're driving in and you're just used to always seeing, and then you got stuff piled here, and you got a big reel of stuff there, you know, and it can be kinda, you know, looking like, oh my gosh, you know, but when we're all said and done and, you know, get cleaned up and everything else, other than, you know, you might have some holes there,
Right.
but.
Yeah, I think
it's
their
kind of-
issue was the quote-unquote unsightliness of the aerial poles.
Yeah, and, you know, in this area, I'm just afraid that we'll pull out of this area if we have to, cause now I have to, cause then if we have to pull the poles out, which are obviously just pull and pull out, it's amazing, we have to pull the pole out. Pulling out 14 poles and then trying to go that, it's gonna be.
So
And I wish I would've just, you know, looking back, I talked to people and done that, but at the same time, you know, this was kind of a surprise to me too, where it was done.
Right.
And I asked him, like, well, who gave you the prints, our contractor, and he had basically that right there with the dots on it, and I'm like, are you kidding me? So, I mean, that's an issue that internally I gotta work out with my CPA and stuff and say that,
CPA stands for what besides the certified public accountant?
Yeah, it's our contract, basically our contract inspector, so he's the guy that works for all of our contractors out here. So he deals with all of them. And I don't know how unless he got informed somehow about putting in the poles or what, or how that went out, so I'll have to ask him.
Well, I wonder if that conversation could be had, I don't know who would have it with those landowners, say, look, if you guys truly
I
feel this strongly about these poles, we'll jerk them out, but you gotta understand,
Yeah,
broadband's gonna end right up here.
Well, and you have to have them understand too, are there people behind here, how many addresses are upstream of that? Cause if you pulled them now and you took away broadband from other people, they need to understand the whole picture.
It's worse than that, because these people, it's temporary, everybody's home is temporary.
Right.
They're gonna die, the next generation can move in, they're gonna sell their home. I don't think we give the temporary owners of this property the long-term decision of
Right.
whether fiber comes into this area or not.
Unless
I
it
mean, I
was
don't know if we
everybody
go
out
down
there
there.
saying, get them out,
I mean, I just,
that would be a different issue.
yeah, I mean,
You
I
can't,
just don't feel it's appropriate. I understand what you're saying, this is a cost process, it's cost prohibitive to drill it, trench it, and if you had to go back to your people and say, look, the only way we're gonna get this done is if you trench it, they may say, we're not gonna bring it in anyway, we're gonna bring it somewhere else where we don't have this hassle.
And then all
we've
these
taken the
citizens
broadband out
lose
to
it
the
up here,
future.
they need to
Yeah.
understand, but you need to have, when you're talking to them, it's more than just dealing with those three people, you understand
Oh,
what we're
yeah.
trying to say.
But it wouldn't affect your upstream users above where you came out aerial, you could terminate there instead of terminating down here.
Well, but they can't get these guys back in here.
Well, we can't, the way this works is, if we terminate back here, the length, cause we're putting a unit right here.
Okay.
So what it does is you'll be able to pick up back this way, and this way. But if you come here, you're adding this 3,000 some feet, and he would be, that's knows that. So now this customer right here that can get
Right.
40 meg, you come back here, or this customer over here that can get maybe 20 or more. Now you put it back here, this length is a lot longer to broadcast all the way to this guy's house. Now this person here might not even qualify.
Where are you going up here? How far?
So we
how much
actually
further
have
are
a
you going?
site that's right here that's feeding all of this up here.
Okay.
That's feeding these customers, and then we have fiber we're gonna come to right here. They feed.
Okay, so
And
you're gonna
there's
be hurting
a
some of
distribution box right there at that intersection,
Right here.
an existing distribution box,
So you
which
go-
is what we have to tie
That's
in
where
with
you're
these
shooting
types.
to, then you go
That
from
way,
copper.
we're basically just extending a fiber circuit to a distribution
Of
location.
copper.
And then from that point, it goes back onto
Right.
copper, so it
Yeah,
eliminates
and this-
extra footage on copper.
So right here, that's where we're picking up all this here, and then down
Almost
this.
through Jay.
Yeah.
And I
So it would affect
Sure don't
more than
wanna
just these
impact this,
homeowners
but-
right here.
Oh,
It affects
yeah,
everybody out
Yeah.
of that distribution
Okay.
box,
Right.
every single customer that would be on that.
It'd be a big travesty
Yeah.
to pull this out of here, out of this area.
Yeah,
I mean, and like I was telling somebody, we were sitting up there and I looked and I was like, man, just, it's amazing that you can have this view and just be able to, just to surf the internet.
Yeah,
Crazy
'cause-
speed, it's just amazing to me where, I mean, when I'm in town, I'm in the middle of town, I had him in Trinidad in the middle of town, and you can't even get 1.5.
So just
It's
thinking a
just
little bit
amazing.
outside the box. What is the cost if you, could you estimate, just throw a number out at me, if the homeowners chose to pay for the excavation of the trench? Are we looking at $10,000, $1,500,000? I don't know.
Oh, if the, say the customer wanted to.
Right, if they
say
said,
they
I want
say-
you to pull those poles out,
We'll
I'll
pay
pay
it
if you trench it
to
to
rock
put it in.
solid.
You're looking at,
Just a guess, I mean, it doesn't have to be anything close.
yeah, and I think it was
Or
an
go through a
extra,
different right away.
it was an extra $19,000.
And you know what? I
To-
think we
to
would,
trench
how
it.
would you feel, or would this be beyond what you'd be willing to even discuss, if the homeowners were given that option? Look, it's an extra $19,000. If you folks wanna come up with that money and give it to you, you'll go ahead and pull the poles and trench it.
Yeah, and we've done that before, where, you know, we ask,
Gives them an
we ask a
option.
customer,
And that
you know,
gives them
if,
the option.
if you wanna trench this on your property, you can trench it on your property, and then
But
you
give
can
you
save
the
that
cable.
cost there. But we would just, basically, they could even if they wanted to hire somebody to come in, not us, but
Right,
they could hire their
right,
own person to
yeah.
come in and open up a trench
You
and we
could
do
do this,
troubleshoot.
isn't it, I mean,
Yeah,
you're the
exactly,
pros,
yeah.
you're the
And then
pros.
if they
Is
don't
it
want-
physically possible to trench that with the hardware that you have?
Oh,
If
sure.
you can hire somebody to do
Yeah,
it,
you
rock
can-
saw.
Yeah, you can get the equipment to do it, and it's possible. I mean,
So-
you can drill in solid
I
rock.
think
It's
that's
just-
If they
the
wanted
solution
to,
should
could
have.
they exercise an option to go straight to here? And if they had the permission from these landowners? I don't know what that terrain looks like.
And the copper's only good for 2,500 feet or so, isn't it?
Well, the
Oh, you're saying
endpoint
just
needs to
take
be
a-
the
You're
same.
taking
Yeah, instead of
five
going,
sticks.
instead of going around
The
here.
endpoint needs to be at that distribution box.
Well, where it went aerials, you said was in here somewhere,
Yeah, right, yeah, about right there where you're
So
at.
where you gonna go, where's the distribution box gonna be?
there and there.
Right
So
there
you
at
gotta
that
get clear up to
intersection.
this intersection here. with
And
the
we're in the
box.
ground already
Yeah.
up to here.
So I'm just saying, if they said,
So
hey,
you've already
we'll go to
trenched
these
that?
landowners and
Yeah.
get permission, and we'll pay to have it trenched straight across to avoid coming down here with poles. Is that a possibility or not?
They would have to just, go through giving us easements and
Whether they
by the
hired you
time
to do it or
that's
hired
all-
somebody else.
Yeah, by the time that's all said and done,
Yeah,
we're looking at already going next year, and then they'll say, no, we've gotta, cause there's so many living units that we have to get in, and these all count for living units. So they'll look and say, and we need it in by the end of the year, even if that was an option, say, and, they'll be like, well, this guy's good, nope, this guy don't want it, so now we gotta come this way, well, he'll want it, okay, but he wants an easement,
Right.
and so we'll have to go take it, and
That's
then we'll have to
steep,
get
too.
it
I've been on
surveyed,
that
we'll have to
deal.
do all that, and then they'll push us to next year, and then they'll say, well,
Yeah.
we ain't gonna come in next year, we need to take those living units and move them.
Yeah, which may be out of the county, right?
Oh, yeah, it's
They
just,
could-
they
right,
just,
well,
in
right.
our region,
It's not
so
gonna be-
our
Those
west
dollars
region,
could be expended somewhere else.
yeah,
Mhm.
Colorado outstate, what we call it, so it could even go to Lamar or something like that. And that's what we ended up doing in Trinidad for, and it's a bad deal in Trinidad, but that's just what happened, in an HOA, yeah.
But that would be an option that they could do, they could pay for a trench themselves. Or pay to help cut it.
Yeah.
But taking the poles down is gonna be another $10,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
So, from where you sit, who should or would go talk to these people
I can talk to you. I would.
about the aerial thing
Yep.
first, and then maybe say, well, there are some other options, but
Yeah, I think that would be the right thing to do. You can
Yeah,
talk
I
to them,
can
and they'll-
give them the options.
And they're probably getting used to not seeing those poles already.
Yeah, that's true too.
Actually, one you got on Horn Road, I don't even see it.
Oh, yeah.
I just part of
That
it
one was,
keeps
they
coming
did
back
that
to,
one really well.
this is
Yeah,
the
that was-
price
they
of
did that one
progress,
pretty
this is
good.
what you wanted as a county, you may not want it as an individual, but we
Can't-
don't operate a
one-
county
one
that way,
person
this is
doesn't
what the
operate.
county's indicated, this is what they want.
When it's private property, it's what the county wants, they made it loud and clear to us. And I, for one, I would not vote to stall this project, because who knows who's gonna own this property in 5, 10, 15 years.
That's right, no.
Well, and politically, the good thing is, we're not gonna get a vote, cause this has nothing to do with the county, really.
Well, I
But-
mean, if I had the option.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, again, this is outside of the county purview because it's a private subdivision, but appreciate you
No,
guys
yeah, and I
willing
want-
to.
Take our advice, go talk to them.
Yeah, and I would like to know who, I don't know, if unless it's going door to door, but I don't know
Yeah,
who.
and I asked about
I'd like
that.
to talk
Yeah.
to these folks here
They
that
gave us-
actually.
We've got some addresses.
And I'd like to actually talk to the folks that actually have, I mean, it's right
People
their
that-
driveway.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
somebody down there that drives by them is one thing, but I mean, the guy that actually has it at his
Exactly.
house is another.
So, one of the ladies that was in here yesterday, she wasn't their official spokesperson, but she certainly,
Outspoken.
outspoken, I guess.
And the guy that grades the road, you've already talked to, or somebody has apparently.
The contractors out there.
Yeah, Jan Miller's the
Jan
one
Miller.
looking for her phone number.
But he's got the phone, they gave you a phone number.
But of course, in July, I'm sure as hell not gonna find it because it was yesterday, so.
Hard to talk.
So,
in
this was, I said, well, we need kind of a contact person. She said, well, give them my name and number, so it's Janice Miller, and
she can get you in touch with the other.
I can get you an address.
And I know we have another customer, or he's a Kelly State, he used to be, he lives up there, and he was a technician here, and he retired from here, and he lives up in there, so it's another one I can kinda talk to him.
Yeah, is that
'Cause
John?
he should, Kelly
Okay.
Stapleton?
Okay.
You wanna blurt out some names?
His
Are
son
you
actually
looking up-
works for us currently.
Oh,
Mm.
wow. Yeah, Kelly, big, tall, blonde-haired guy.
She's got a
Mhm.
name for.
Hey, bud, how you doing? Come on in.
I gotta go upstairs.
Okay. So let me,
And you know, and I imagine they probably see coming in and they see the poles and they're thinking they're gonna go right by their house, and
Yeah.
that's how we're feeding everybody.
you might jot down her address too, so that you know, this is that Jan Miller that we started out with, Robert and Janice Miller, 638 Stephen Drive, which is,
Right on the
it's a
hill.
ways from where we're even talking about actually, but that's
Yeah, it's
not,
beyond and up and down over the hill.
yeah.
And I think their impression is, because they don't know better, is that
There's gonna be more
the
poles.
whole
We
way.
just need to
Yeah.
clarify
Not
what
just-
you're
yeah,
doing.
we're
not
done,
just this
right.
one small area.
Yeah, they were working on the last pole.
They
when I
said,
was
they
there.
were giving us examples, like if you put the density of poles down to Bear Basin, it's gonna be 1,000 poles, and
Yeah.
by the time you get to the highway, that's how
Lack
many,
of
that's how
communication.
many poles you guys are doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, how tall are these poles out of the ground, above grade?
25, 30 foot. We gotta maintain a certain height off the right of way.
Kelly has some other names, probably not addresses, but of the folks that were here yesterday,
Oh, okay.
so.
Why don't you get them, because then you can talk to Janice.
You
about
weren't gonna
what
look
they're
them
doing.
up on.
I don't have them. I don't know
Just
who
give
they
them,
are.
I was gonna give
Oh,
them
okay.
to you, and then
That's
you
fine,
could look
yep.
them up and give him the address.
Okay.
So, I think that Rosalind Solis and Jerry Glassman were together.
Yes.
So maybe
Okay.
look under Glassman, 2 S's.
She the one that had the
See,
southern
there's
accent.
changes.
They were sitting
The
over
GIS?
there.
Yeah, I can't get it to come up on my computer.
Oh,
It's driving
really?
me crazy, yeah.
Cause you don't have
Yeah, Jerry
broadband.
Gloss,
Cause you're CenturyLink.
Jerry Glassman's 476 Stephen Drive.
Is that Rosalind Solis?
Yes.
Is she on with you?
Yep.
How close to the
What
hill
was
is
his
that
first name?
one?
Jerry Allen. Okay,
And then,
You go
you
back
gave
to
him Robert and Janice Miller. There was John Sluter, which.
we already, yeah, I'll get you that address, so.
And Melanie Cipher, I think they were together, they seemed to be together.
Geez, where's that?
Yeah, let me go back.
Oh, you had it with them.
John Sluter, there's only two of them and they're the same name, so. Yeah, that's a little weird.
That's coming up.
Are you doing SLUDE?
I just looked at the map and I should have just given him the address. Oh yeah, there it is. So they are on 539 Little Horn Drive. They have two properties, but Little Horn was the one they were ways late. Okay.
And then James Patterson was the last one.
And that's 5th Street in West Clesley, that's not. Let me go back and see if there's. James and Mary, did you have a Mary there or no?
No, there wasn't a lady with him.
Somebody else. That
Yeah,
other
they're
gal
showing
gave
Jim
you
Patterson
names
lives
of
right
other-
over here,
yeah.
so that's the only one we have there, but, so there's a few there, maybe give you a start, but.
Okay.
They may not be in the immediate vicinity of these power poles either, so you may have to do a cold knock on
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
addresses.
but like I said, if they see it come down, I think that we're doing everything
Yeah.
in the aerials.
Sure, that's right.
Well, I think the important thing about this right here is if you continue to reach out to some of those people, they're gonna have a little more faith in the system that they just weren't ignored.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's anything saying, hey, you know, we're sorry, we should have done this, we didn't. That is kind of what it is. You have options. I'll discuss them with you if you want. You're not gonna like any of them, but
Yeah.
at least their
We'll get
voices were
broadband,
heard
that's a
and
positive.
Yeah. It's gonna be
Yeah.
amazing up there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, this is from the seats we sit in, just because 70% of the people want broadband, that leaves 30% didn't give a rat's behind about it one way or the other, and this could be some of those 30.
And that's it, I think it's.
Matter of
yeah,
fact, some of the people that live there don't even have phones or TVs or anything.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want anything.
Yeah,
But-
you're gonna find that, yeah.
So, appreciate you guys coming in, really.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Appreciate you coming in.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then next I'll reach out and let them.
So your estimated time of completion up here on this project, this year, or you think it's gonna go into
no,
next
we're
year?
getting, yeah.
Be done in the
Yeah,
next
that's
few
why I
weeks?
asked.
Originally it was the
It's
end
so
of
much pressure,
October,
'cause
wasn't
if
it?
they want it, yeah, they want a lot of them. And we're close on a lot of, stuff south. All we're waiting for is a couple internal things to happen and we can turn up some site stuff that way.
Sweet.
Yeah, so they're moving along and it's, we're getting there.
We've asked Tim for a map, not to distribute publicly, cause we know there's some concerns about that, but we felt like commissioners, road and bridge, the
It'd be nice
mayors.
to know.
It's just what, yeah,
And plus it's just
what's the
nice to know
footprint?
where you're, yeah,
Yeah.
where the fiber is, where,
Yeah.
and that's what, with the road and bridge, just to know where we're putting this stuff, and I told them I can give them something, you know, that doesn't have a proprietary
right.
stuff, but I mean, it
It's-
gives them running
it's the
lines, and they
general
know
lines
where,
and-
they know where
yes,
we're putting our fiber.
that's what we want.
So that way,
That's what he said, yeah.
And so you guys are shooting for 32, 36 inches in depth, or general
36,
36?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And now if we're in solid rock, I think they had said something would be down to 24 or something, but I mean, it's,
But none of this 7, 8, 9 inches
No.
under cattle guard and all that crap that we're
Yeah,
running
no,
into,
it's-
so. Okay, well, good, all right. Anything
Yeah.
else, gentlemen, questions?
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it, yeah, I know you guys are busy, but thank you for your time.
Thanks for taking the time, guys.
oh yeah.
Anything we can do to
Thank you.
help, holler?
Will
Thank
do.
you, sir, good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Take
All right.
care.
Tony, could you spell your last name?
HASENACK.
Okay.
Alright.
See you guys, thank you.
That's that.
All right.
Thanks for putting that.
Yeah, thank you, sir, appreciate it. So our next item is consideration of the resolution imposing a moratorium on the issuance of, burn permits. Council, would you like to take the lead, sir?
Well, this is just based on what we discussed, that since dispatch services have switched over to FreeCom, which I'm not clear, everybody refers to it as FreeCom. I didn't see that name in the
Yeah.
actual IGA, it's the,
It's a central
Combined Regional Communications Authority.
Right.
And I just put down also known as FreeCom.
Yeah, okay.
In this, but it basically just says that there'll be a moratorium until such time as ordinance number 19-02 can either be revised or replaced. And I put a time frame on it for a period of time that this moratorium will remain in effect for a period of time, should say not exceeding 6 months from the date of this resolution. I missed
Yeah, that's fine, I'll stick it in here.
Okay.
Is it not exceeding or not to exceed? How do you guys phrase it in the legal world?
That's how I phrased it, that I'm barely hanging out in the legal world these days.
And we actually had talked about January, so that certainly would cover that.
Well, that was what I was thinking, if we put that, just put 6 months from now, it can be done a lot sooner, hopefully.
I'll tell you what, just so the language doesn't get everybody I caught a lot of flack when they said, well, if it snows here and we gotta wait till January to start burning, then it's too dry to burn. So that's why they wanna see this. I know we're gonna do it, what, a couple months.
Well, and this doesn't really address the permits that have already been issued.
These are new permits.
These are issuing any new permits.
How, well.
There'll be one that burn, maybe, yes.
And I don't know, I guess they're gonna have to contact the sheriff's office and try to handle it, probably.
Yeah, so we don't have to have language in here about obviously it's not happened yet, but if the fire department takes this on, that's gonna be subsequent to this, right? I mean, that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
Right, it just said we're in discussions with Wet Mountain Fire Protection District. It's not a done deal that they are gonna do this, but it sounded like Kit wanted to do it.
Okay. Group's pleasure.
Move that we
Adopt.
adopt resolution 19-11 with the typographical change as presented.
Okay.
Second it.
Been moved and seconded to adopt resolution 19-11 with the addition of the word "not" in the last paragraph of number 2. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries. Thank you, sir, for your work on that. Appreciate it. Got enough legalese in it, you should get paid for your work.
You gotta give them the raise too.
And we need to send this to, and I can do that, I'll send a copy of it to Shannon. Maybe I better do that right now. Well, I don't know if I can email this one. I don't need a receipt for the 50, don't worry. And I don't know if it needs to go to Kid or to Gary or.
Both.
And then I'll send a copy to you as well, Miss Kara. Anyone else, gentlemen, you think of that we should send one to?
You say he sends the sheer roof to.
Keep asking. Okay, all right, good, thank you, sir, appreciate it. Anything else, gentlemen, to come before the board before we go to public comment? Hearing none. Public comment? Hearing none. Chair would entertain a motion.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second it. Moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. 10:02.